ladies and gentlemen. Championship 2018. We're here live from Three Sisters Circuit in Wigan, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend Eddie Power. Eddie, we're on the grid during practice.
No PA.
Getting a little bit heated out there, getting ready to put qualifying down. But before we go and speak to a few of these guys, you've been at home, you've been doing the maths, you've been behind the scenes with the abacus, working it all out. What does the championship look like right now?
Well, I think the important thing here, Ian, is going into round 4 of 5 is that this championship is wide open. And despite the dominance, the early dominance in this season from Lee Scott, mechanical problems at round 3 has meant that, you know, some of these guys have really jumped back into contention. We have 36 points separating the top 2 spots, but
he's trying to do it now.
He's
frantically plugging stuff in.
Win this championship. Lee Scott, he's got his car back on the grid. Robbie and Track Day Performance has been working tirelessly to try and figure out the gremlins. It seems to be running at the moment in early practice. We don't know how that's going to hold up, and only time will tell. So it's certainly very, very interesting.
Yeah, like you say, interesting to know. I mean, everybody who's watching the British Drift Championship, they've been following the IDC, and well to note that Lee Scott's car not been doing too well. Kevin Quinn's been lending in his car to try and get him through the championship. He's dominating that championship all the way through to the end. But like you say, 2 more rounds to go this championship, and if he leaves the line in his first qualifying run in that car and it fails, technically, like you say, the championship could open right up and anybody could jump in and take it, right?
Yeah, look, he can take the championship this weekend if Alistair Sutton has a poor performance, but then you're relying on some of the other guys that are still in the hunt to have a poor round as well. So this one could be decided today. I don't think it will be. I think it's all going to go down to the final round in Rockingham in October. Look, it's as you say, look, he wrapped up the Irish Championship, but in a borrowed car from Kevin Quinn. And as you say again, if he leaves the line in qualifying in his own car and has problems, that's it. His weekend could be over right there and then. But look, it's all very, very tight down the order as well. A lot of guys even trying to climb up the order to get themselves into those top 3 finishing positions. Pro licenses up for grabs as well. Things are really exciting here at round 4.
Yeah, and as well, good thing to note, we spoke about it earlier, that there's the Alistair Sutton in 2nd place in the championship, and Hayden Cruikshank, like you mentioned earlier to me, been very, very consistent. And like you say, consistency always a key. They could jump up at any moment and come through, and look, we've seen it happen before, it could happen again. But Eddie, I think it's time we'll have a quick walk round our drivers, see how they're feeling. We're going to have a quick word. Tessa Whittock over here, driving for Team Driftworks. Morning, Tess.
Good morning.
Tess, Three Sisters, different circuit for you. How are you feeling?
Very good. First time here for me driving. I've only been a passenger, so it's
Stop it, I'm watching my girlfriend, all right?
First lap out, yeah, it was a bit sketchy, but we'll get there. We'll grasp it.
You're looking good. Do you feel more confident now in the championship than you did when you first came here? You was a little bit sketchy. I think a lot of stuff was going to your head. You look more settled now.
Much more settled than when I first got here, and yeah, I think my time is now. So I'm hoping to do well today.
Oh, well, there you go. A very confident Tessa Whittock. Congratulations, Tessa. We look forward to seeing you later. Look at that confidence booming already, and Tessa Whittock, like I said, coming to the championship early this year, didn't really feel confident, and I noted on the live stream that she often sometimes gets inside her own head, and puts herself out of competition before it's even happened, and look at that, round 4, boosted confidence, she's feeling good.
Yeah, I mean, look, it certainly hasn't been the season or the start of the season that Tessa wanted, but as you say, look, 2 rounds remaining, a chance to, get yourself some good runs in and maybe a chance at a podium. We've certainly seen moments of brilliance and flashes of brilliance from Tessa. It's just about producing it when it matters, and hopefully no mechanical gremlins. Ross Barr here in this incredibly well presented and well built PS13, and of course Andrew Earl, a man who's podiumed here, or not here, but podiumed in the BDC at round 3, so confidence in the cockpit. We'll go have a quick word with him. Mr. Earl, confidence got to be booming, a podium at the last round, and you're back here, a brand new circuit for pretty much all the drivers. How are you feeling about it?
Feeling good, yeah. Hopefully we can just get the line dialed early and put in a good qualifying run. Hopefully, we'll see how it goes.
You've had a chance to get a few runs out on the track already. It's a little bit wet and it's very tight. How's the confidence going into qualifying?
Yeah, it should be okay. Once we get a few more runs under the belt, we should be good to go.
Well, hopefully another podium for you this weekend. We'll certainly be keeping a close eye on you. We'll leave you get back to your practice, and best of luck. And Yeah, look, a lot of guys making the trip over here to England from Ireland. Hayden Cruikshank, though, sits in the championship. Ian, you might have a word with him.
Yeah, Hayden, a quick word with you. Hayden, you're sitting third in the championship at the moment. You look confident here. You drove it when you drove in Drift Cup. How do you feel right now?
Feel confident, actually. I love this track. It's great. It's my birthday. They've got to let me win.
You're a very consistent driver. Do you think that could be the key to taking down the championship or finishing nice and high up at the end of the year?
I think so, yeah. It's been a great year for me. It's been more consistent than ever, actually, so fingers crossed.
Well, we look forward to seeing you later on. Good luck, dude. There you go, consistency. He feels good in the car. You know, he drove here before in Drift Cup, where a lot of these guys earn their stripes, especially Hayden Cruikshank. And, you know, I was saying earlier, 16 drivers, Eddie, from Drift Cup have come to this round this weekend. You know, 56 drivers, Pro-Am drivers on the grid. It's a stacked grid. It's not going to make it easy for our top 32.
No, certainly not. And look, you know, we have seen guys from Drift Cup come into the competition and just blow the talent out of the water. And, you know, in a brand new track for a lot of these guys, we don't know what weight conditions are going to be. It is very tight. That reduces the, you know, the horsepower advantage. I think this one could throw up a few surprises. One thing I've noticed from the championship so far is that we haven't had a whole lot of consistent podium finishers. So who knows what's going to happen here this weekend. I'm certainly very excited. 2 rounds to go, and as I say, look, this championship is wide open. Could we see a winner or somebody just emerge from, you know, from the mid-pack this weekend and give themselves a chance at the run-in? Who knows?
Exactly that. I mean, like we say, anyone can come through. I can see Lee Scott on the grid. Let's have a quick walk over there and have a chat with Lee Scott before we wrap this up. Listen, I say it all the time, but I really do want to see someone come out of nowhere, blow the championship apart and make round 5 at Rockingham, you know, the final event, the drift event at Rockingham before the circuit closes. I'd love to see someone come in and make this championship wide open and make the final a historical moment. Lee Scott, you're back in your car, round 4, you're leading the championship. How do you feel?
Oh, feeling dead on. A couple of runs there this morning, everyone seems to be going good. Car's back in form, so hopefully I can get a win back in my own car again and keep the championship going. So we'll try our best today and see how things go.
You feel confident, car's well, you look confident. What more can you say? There's no more to say to a man that feels good. We wish you all the best of luck as you go to qualifying, dude. There you go, Eddie. Car's looking good, he's feeling confident. Listen, that man, it doesn't matter how many questions you ask him, he just smiles and says, it is what it is, I do what I do, and the championship hope's alive.
Yeah, look, a fantastic temperament and always remains calm, even with all his success this year. You know, just so modest and always just a pleasure to talk to. Doesn't have an ego and a real credit to his family. But right behind him, hot on his heels, Alistair Sutton, that guy, you know, he's poised and ready to pounce. And who knows? Look, I think we're going to see a bit of a dogfight between these two. Qualifying is going to be very important, but guaranteed, I think we're going to see a Drift Cup driver come through and cause a few surprises as well. This one is, look, it's shaping up to be, look, a really, really good event. It's going to be tricky. It's going to be new for everybody. And the championship nerves, Ian, you know yourself, you've been there. They can just cause problems for people.
Yeah, there you go. Well, listen, Eddie, I think it's about that time. So if you're at home, sit back, relax, maybe flick on the kettle and make yourself a nice hot cup of tea. We're going to head to the tower. It's time to kick off qualifying here at round 4 of the British Drift Championship Pro-Am 2018. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 4 of the British Drift Championship 2018, and we are here live at Three Sisters Circuit in Wigan. Eddie Power, we just took all around the pits and had a look at those drivers on the grid. Confident weekend for some of these guys, some nervousness in the air.
Yeah, look, Ian, I think we said it all. 2 rounds to go here, and then it's going to be a long off-season. These guys, they want to maximise their track time. They want to get as far as they can in the competition, and they want to move up that order. We have 16 Drift Cup drivers on the grid. They are used to this circuit. They've been driving it recently. We have the rest of our Pro-Am grid who may or may not have driven here competitively in the past. A lot of guys, this is brand new for them. It's really tight. Track was wet this morning for the start of practice. It's bone dry now. It's going to be so close today. I just feel it.
Yeah, it's going to be a completely different round. Like you say, brand new circuit for us here at the British Championship. And like you say, changing weather conditions, rain forecast for later on. I hate to say it, but yeah, rain forecast for later on in the day. So we could see a mixed weekend. Or also hearing stories from the pits of people's cars not performing and working too well. Listen, Eddie, it could be a very, very good weekend for the Championship. And like we say, like we explained earlier, open it right up to what we would want it to be. Yeah, well, as you say, look, stories emerging from the pits, and we'll visit them later on as they become relevant. But certainly drivers going into qualifying not in their own cars. Some drivers even without a competitive run in the car that they're going to be driving. So that's very important. We have the championship race is alive today. The championship could be taken. I don't think it will. I think it's all going to come down to round 5, but we will obviously keep you guys at home and here in attendance up to date with just exactly what's going on in that championship race as it happens here at the Three Sisters circuit here in Wigan. The drivers are just getting ready. They're lining up in, and Yeah, drivers, like you say, Eddie, are just gridding now, ready to go out for qualifying. And listen, there's 3 guys here in this tower that have got the difficult judge of deciding who of them top 32, who make it from them 56 drivers into top 32. And our judges, of course, this weekend will be Kieran Hines, Dave Egan and Ryan Pothecary. We're going to quickly shoot over to Dave Egan. As you can see them, they're all feverishly looking at their tablets and notes and everything else. Dave Egan, a tough job in your hands, new circuit, some very, very stiff competition.
And it's a very technical track, and I think a lot of people look at drift circuits around the world, and they come in all shapes and forms. A lot of them about big angle, big speed, big risk. Here it is the other side of drifting, very much about technicality and precision, and that's what we're going to be judging things on today. It's not the fastest track in the world, but what it is a very line-based circuit. You imagine if this circuit was twice the width it is, and a lot of people will mention that it's quite narrow, but if it was twice the width it was, we'd still expect them to be on a consistent line. So again, this is going to test drivers that they can't really be on the wrong line. So we're going to talk you through it. So it's an interesting start here, something a little bit different. It's a rolling start around the first corner. Chase car will be kind of tucking in behind the lead car later on today, but for qualifying we expect them to be just doing a little weight transfer, losing the traction on the rear end of the car, just to get that little bit of angle opposite before they enter into the scoring zone in clip 1. And then it's sort of a wide start, tightening up a little bit as they go around that first corner into clip 2. And this is a really, really important part of the track, which is clip 3. There's an inside clip halfway across the track, right in the middle of the track, in fact, and it's a snappy transition from 3 back to 4. 4, the only deceleration zone on the track. You're expecting them to slow a little bit there, and then it's about line. You've got to start kind of wide and then tighten it up towards clipping zone 5, and then the next corner, which it's a very unusual corner. It's sort of a couple of corners thrown together, and there's only one real correct line through the whole thing to stay drifting and stay on full throttle, and that's to get the line right on the inside of the corner, and then push out wide towards clipping zone 6 and get the line just right between 6 and 7. We don't want the drivers up on the curbs. There's some white lines painted out there for guidance for ourselves and for the drivers to keep them a couple of meters off the curb, to leave that room for the chase car later on today. But line is also important here, and the one thing is, if you make mistakes, you're going to be off the track, or you're going to be dropping wheels, or you're going to be straightening up. There really is no room for error. And while it may be a kart circuit, we've seen these guys carrying a lot of speed through it, especially towards the end of the circuit. So we're expecting some full throttle smoky action, and we want to see guys looking very comfortable out there. We don't want to see massive amounts of angle being put on, slowing down in areas they shouldn't. We want a nice smooth line throughout the course, which will make things very interesting as we head on later to the battles. Looking forward to it. The guys are pumped up. Practice looked very strong, and we're enjoying the action so far. So let's see how the guys get on in qualifying.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, so there you go. That's what the judges are looking for already. But obviously we have a set of criteria that we have to work to, and we're going to put it up on the screen now, and I'm going to go through it for you guys at home and for you guys in attendance to understand what would score you a 0 or what would get you the 100-point qualifying run. So the qualifying criteria is each driver will complete 2 non-consecutive scored runs. The highest score after both runs will count as a driver's final score. Each run is scored out of a maximum of 100 by our 3 judges. The average score from all 3 judges will count as a driver's run score. Drivers will be deducted points for momentary loss of drift, understeer, incorrect line, dropping 1 to 3 wheels off the designated circuit, significant contact, and obviously the grass denoting there the edge of the circuit at this place. Extreme entry, drivers will be rewarded points for extreme entry, increased speed, fluidity, snappy transitions, correct judging line, precision, proximity to the outer clipping zones. Drivers will be scored a 0 for complete loss of drift, spinning out, dropping 4 wheels, extreme understeer, driving a section of the course. So we've now know what the judges are looking for. We know the criteria, what can score you 100 points or what can score you a 0. Eddie, I think it's almost time to kick off action here at round 4. But first of all, I think we're going to go see your friend. Are you guys made up now?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Nathan. Yeah, you know what? I was a little bit iffy about him, but he's committed himself. This is going to be his 4th round. So, you know what, maybe he's just not a flash in the pan. Maybe he is interested in being here. Still a little bit skeptical about him because he seems to have, 2 different sides. But I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt at the moment.
Okay, so Ed, we're going to head down. Nathan, where are you at, dude?
Thanks, guys. Well, we are here, and what an electrifying 2 days it's going to be here at BDC, round 4 at the Three Sisters Circuit, and I'm excited. And I just want to take this moment to kind of just re-talk about what happened at the end of BDC round 3. I was given some harsh words by the commissioner, but I've taken it on board. I want to issue an apology to my compadre in commentating action, Eddie Power, who does a sterling job. As you can see, I've grown up a lot. I've grown a mustache. Some of the most important people in all of society have had important mustaches, and I thought I'd do one as well. People like Burt Reynolds, people like Walt Disney, and of course, Hulk Hogan. If I want to be like my heroes, I gotta grow up, I gotta think smart. I'm ready to be your hero once again here at BDC round 4.
So, look, I mean, there's an apology live on air, and look, I like him. I'm coming around to him.
There we go.
And you know what? He's showing that he's doing a little bit of research. He knows a bit about the drivers. Still, I just don't know.
Give him time, Eddie. Give him time. Well, with that all out of the way, Eddie, that means only one thing left to go, and that is to kick qualifying off. We are almost ready to get cast to the line. You can see our stacked grid out there. 56 drivers, all battling, Eddie, for a place in top 32. And
yeah, look, I think that's the highest number we've had on the grid so far this season. And with that brings problems for some of the guys that are in the hunt for a championship, because a lot of unknowns, a lot of Drift Cup drivers, and we've spoken about Drift Cup drivers in the past. These guys come, they could be unknown names, and you could be going up against one of those in your top 32 battle and maybe underestimate them a little bit. These guys aren't to be taken for granted.
No, exactly. And there's one guy, I mean, listen, the 2018 Drift Cup champion, Andy Frost. I see this guy at round 1 at Drift Cup at Rockingham, and he was phenomenal. I mean, never heard of him before. He came out of nowhere, and he kind of stuck in my mind. I watched Drift Cup all year. I kept on the socials. He ended up winning the championship, and he's here this weekend. And Eddie, can I say, watching him in practice, he's a confident driver. He's very consistent. Listen, it wouldn't surprise me if we see Andy Frost in the Final 4 later on today. And like you say, he's come out of nowhere. Drift Cup winner. He's come into this round and rocking the boat. That's what we like to see, and that's what we want.
Look, you just got to look back at round 3 where Callum Marshall ended up on the podium in the Pro Championship and now has moved up to that class in the space of 1 round. This championship is always full of surprises, and as you say, Andy Frost, one of those guys that just keep your eye on, a cool customer, and certainly a guy that we could see, and maybe a little bit of an expectation from where we're sitting on that guy to perform well today.
Exactly that. So we are just waiting to get the last of our drivers out onto circuit, and it does look like we are ready to rock and roll. So we're going to head down to the start line, where we will see our first driver queuing up, and it will be Cameron Martin. Cameron Martin, the mechanical engineer from Fife in Scotland. I see him earlier on. He said he's loving it. He's enjoying himself being at the British Drift Championship.
Yeah, M5 BMW engine underneath the bonnet of this E36 Touring, sporting some crazy air intakes just on the rear windows as he comes out on track. Of course, in reverse championship order, we start with the bottom of the grid and work our way up towards our championship leaders. So Cameron Martin with the difficult job of coming out, being the first guy on track, trying to set a score on the board for the rest of the pack to chase, and just not working out for him just at the moment. Number of straightens, and I'd imagine potentially a 0 as he's driven quite a section of the circuit on that first competitive run, and if he does put a score on the board, I'd imagine it won't be enough to see him into top 32 later on, and certainly he'll have it all to do on the second run. But we await the score from the judges to make that official. Of course, only speculating ourselves.
Yeah, obviously I'm not very good at judging or making any form of judged calls, as
people have pointed out, Eddie, some people have mentioned it in passing before, so I refrain from that now.
Yeah,
sometimes they come out if I'm feeling brave.
Some other wannabe commentators have put you down.
Some guys. So we await for Cameron Martin's score to appear on our screens for you guys in attendance. Obviously tomorrow we will have the big screen for our pro, so you'll be able to see what our judges are seeing on the replay, and mine and Eddie's beautiful faces. So score is going to be dropping onto your screen now if you are watching at home, and it will be at 25 for Cameron Martin. So a score on the board, but Eddie, definitely going to be work to be done, especially with 56 drivers.
Yeah, look, Cameron's going to know himself now. He's going to head back to the pits, and he's going to know that wasn't going to be enough. He's got to move it up. Now, next on the line is Ian Wyatt, the bench joiner from Somerset. Recently became a dad. Leaves the line 7 years of experience on-off drifting underneath or inside the cockpit of this car. 340 brake horsepower, and a lot of experience doing passenger rides and demos, but would love just to take it to a podium this weekend here at the Three Sisters circuit for round 4 of the British Drift Championship.
Yeah, looking good so far from Ian White, and it just looks like he may be a little bit under-geared for this, but if he can string this together and he can, it just straightens as he's coming across the finish line. Just sounded like the car just didn't have any more in it, and you know, like, I remember coming here for a Drift Cup a number of years ago, and it was the out gearing that was causing everyone the problem. That long pull from that outer zone through to the finish line is very, very hard on the cars. So and we'll see that. We'll see the higher horsepower cars, sorry Eddie, and the bigger cars make that look easier, if you like.
Yeah, look, and the thing about it, Ian, as well, is the track might look quite simple, but it is very tight and technical, and then it becomes a very long pull. Score on the board for Ian Wyatt at 47 on his first run. And those scores are starting to creep up ever so slightly, but of course we expect these scores to start, you know, I'd imagine it's going to be mid to high 50s at least to get you into the top 32. Next on the line is Gareth Rogers, the Northern Irish man living in Scotland. He's representing Gen Power Solutions and Opie Oils. Started drifting back in 2015, RB26 underneath the bonnet, 550 brake horsepower. He qualified 4th at the Three Sisters event for Drift Cup, and got to the top 8 in Teesside at Drift Cup. So certainly some good performances under his belt. He'd like nothing more though just to get himself right in the mix here this weekend. Currently building an R34 for next season, hoping to have that out for the 2019 championship. He gets ready to leave the line, waiting for start line orders from our Marshall Malks on the line this weekend.
Yeah, just right positive there, just trying to put his score into the system, and I think he put a score in a little bit early. Hadn't even seen the run yet from Gareth Rogers, but now we do as he crosses the start line. You can see them 2 cones denoted either side of the circuit. So nice mangy there from Rogers, straightens. Has to use the handbrake to reinitiate as he now looks for the apex of that first turn to get that outer clipping zone again.
Yeah, it started nicely for Gareth Rogers, but that little error just as he came through that midsection, it's quite a difficult part of the track where you have to just transition back quite quickly to get yourself set up for that tight left hand hairpin, and then back on the power again. So, you know, room for improvement there for Gareth Rogers, and of course these guys doing a lot of their practice, especially the early runners in qualifying, did all their practice on a wet circuit this morning. Those guys out in the first group, so Gareth Rogers heads back to his gridding area, and no doubt be on the radio to the spotters and the team just to see how he got on.
So we are waiting the score to drop in, and there we go, a 56.7 for Gareth Rogers, and he currently sits in first place with that score. So we move it along, Eddie, to the next driver on the line, who's got a bit of a link up to the British Drift Championship already.
He certainly is. Celebrity uncle Jake Lynch on the line, the student from Wirral. He is of course the nephew to Shane Lynch, and that's exactly how he got involved in the sport, inspired by his uncle Shane Lynch, who of course can't be here this weekend. And
no other commitments for Mr. Lynch, but as we see Jake Lynch fire that car in, carrying quite a lot of speed through the circuit so far. Nice transition back, just using the handbrake again to slow that car down.
Yeah, more familiar with the 3-litre M3 engine underneath the bonnet, but a 2.8 underneath the bonnet for this particular weekend, as they're rebuilding that M3 engine, so a little bit underpowered in comparison to what he's used to. 210 brake horsepower, and came 3rd in Drift Cup at the last round in Driftland, and Three Sisters, of course, being his home track, he'll be feeling confident this weekend, Ian.
Yeah, he certainly will, and you know what, he would have had a few words from his uncle in his ear saying, listen,
Go hard or go home. Yeah.
You're there now. You can prove what you've got, and yeah, very good run there from Jake Lynch. A few mistakes, a few errors, but you know what? On the big stage, and he puts it at 58.7, puts him in first position at the moment. So Jake Lynch not doing too bad. As we move it along to Owen Atkinson, the senior business consultant from Darlington, driving a unique car, Eddie.
Unique to say the least, yeah. This is a Mazda MX-5, and it's rocking a 1UZ engine and 280 brake horsepower. Built in a garage at home 5 years ago, and has never been off the trailer between events, which is a good sign as to just how mechanically sound this car is. Now, can he get it around the circuit, and can Owen Atkinson put in a score on his first qualifying run and settle those early nerves here at round 4 of the British Drift Championship? Certainly shaping up to be quite a decent run so far, nailing that outer line, but a waiver there just as he gets... just about manages to avoid impact, but you know what happened? He got a little bit too deep into that outer zone, up onto that high curbs, and the curbs deceptively high here. They start out quite slight, but then they become very steep all of a sudden, and I think you know, those rear wheels just going up on that and then coming down onto tarmac, catching a good grip and just shooting that car forward.
I tell you, we need to make that official. It will be a 0 there for Owen Atkinson, so a 0 on his first run. I tell you the biggest problem, Eddie, I watched him practice. I stood behind that bend with the general public and had just had a little watch. A lot of drivers were dropping one wheel over, so it's kind of created a bit of a divot now. So once you get over that big curb and you drop a wheel, upsets the front wheel, the opposite front wheel, and makes life very, very hard for you. Not easy, but that means you just keep all 4 wheels on the circuit. We move it along to the next guy on the line. It will be Matt Fountain. Matt Fountain, the 3D printing service from High Wycombe.
Yeah, representing Walton Motorsport, Absolute Customs, Opie Oils and Garage D here this weekend. 1JZ, 500 brake horsepower under the bonnet, and he will be doing his best to release every last one of those as he tries to negotiate this tight and tricky circuit. You can just see how much work there is for these guys behind the wheel.
Yeah, Matt Fountain been looking to earn his stripes to the BDC for quite a while now, and by the end of this season in Drift Cup, he managed to get himself here as Fountain puts in a very, very nice run there. A couple of mistakes, dropping a wheel here and there, but apart from that, you know what, not too much to split apart from.
Yeah, look, I think that one's certainly going to be up there competing for top spot. Jake Lynch at the moment with the 58.7, sitting in first position. Garrett Rogers with a 56.7. Could Matt Fountain be the first driver to bump into the 60s? Well, no, he's into the 70s with a 71.3. Judges really liking that one, and Matt Fountain setting the bar high early on here in qualifying.
So as we move it along, again, back to the start line, one of our first female drivers of the day will be Lisa Branch. Lisa, not an unfamiliar face in the pits of the British Drift Championship. No, she is the better half of the Alexis Drew situation.
Yes, the accountant from London is branching out to a new career path this weekend.
There we go. There had to be one, Eddie, didn't there? There had to be one.
I've got you stumped with that one. So here we go. What can Lisa Branch do this weekend? Certainly shaping up to be quite a nice run here so far, and you know what, always great to see more female competitors out on the grid, showing that it's not just men that can put a car sideways. Nice run from Lisa Branch as she shows the Wigan crowd just what she is capable. Representing MB Automotive, EMP Performance, Night Racer, Meister Orr and Garage JB. RB25 underneath the bonnet of that car with 450 brake horsepower. She says Alexis is terrified of her out-qualifying him or beating him in a battle, so was devastated when she got the BDC license. Here we go, a 66 and enough for second position for Lisa Branch straight out of the bat.
Yeah, not a bad score there for Lisa, and she'll be happy with that, especially for her first qualifying run here. And we move it along to the next guy on the line. It will be your 2018 Drift Cup champion, Andy Frost.
Yeah, from Stoke-on-Trent, the motorsport engineer. He says he's a failed motocross rider and a try-hard drifter. Well, he's going to have to try hard here this weekend if he wants to see himself onto the podium and make a name for himself in the British Drift Championship. As you say, plenty of experience in that Drift Cup competition. M3 engine under the bonnet, 260 brake horsepower, foot to the floor as he comes by this full throttle section of the circuit. And Andy Frost looking confident out on track. Little waver as he crossed the line in, but you know what, showing exactly what you were talking about. A cool customer is Andy Frost.
Yeah, very, very cool customer, and like I say, definitely someone to get your eye on as we move through competition. I know that Andy Frost brings a good fan base with him as well. Very noisy, may I say, Eddie. Very, very noisy fan base. So as we await the score to drop in for Andy Frost, the 2018 Drift Cup champion, will be feeling confident with that one, feeling good. And look, he should do 79.3 for Andy Frost, drops him into first place so far, and a very, very good score.
Yeah, really good score from the Iceman. That's what we're calling him from now on.
Is that his nickname?
Yeah, it's just
Frost.
Frost, Iceman.
Oh,
yeah,
wow,
look,
Eddie Power, stop it.
there is no end
It's
to my
already.
talents.
It's too much already. We move it along though, Eddie.
To a 14-year-old behind the wheel of a 340 brake horsepower E46 BMW. M3 underneath the bonnet, Harry Kerr, representing AK Drift Repairs, Care Recovery and Repairs, leading car dismantlers, Part Stock, Top Dog, DD Autos and Dead Tech. Also IMF on board as well. And this guy, 14 years of age, but he is well able to steer, and certainly a rising star and one to watch for the future, because with a very basic and budget build, this guy just gets this car around the circuit. And dare I say it, probably one of the quickest laps we've seen. I know it's not about time here at the British Drift Championship, but certainly very flowy is Harry Kerr as he negotiates that circuit. I think that one could be a contender for top spot. Can he outdo that 79.1 from Andy Frost? Well, the judges are about to let us know as he makes it to the back of the grid. Could we see Harry Kerr go to the top of the podium this weekend? I certainly wouldn't rule him out. 340 brake horsepower, perfect amount of power for this tight technical layout that we have here in Wigan. 75.3, enough for a second position.
Yeah, a very, very good run there for Harry Kerr. And yeah, listen, didn't have all the impact in the world or the smoke, but very, very technical and a very good run. Someone who does make plenty of power and plenty of smoke is this guy on the line, Robin Neeson, the refrigeration engineer from Ballymena County Antrim. Is that right, Eddie?
Ballymena, yeah. Ballymena.
Yeah.
You know what? Close. You're getting there. You're getting there. Now, I'm very excited to see Robin Neeson on track here, Ian, because you know what? One of the guys that when we were watching practice earlier on this morning was absolutely nailing this circuit. And 850 brake horsepower at the wheels. This insane machine. And look at the smoke that he creates as he stands on the accelerator and just clouds out the Three Sisters Arena. A little bit of a dirt drop there, losing parts off the rear end of that car, and Robin Neeson, a man on a mission this weekend. We always say he kills it in practice, and then something just changes when he comes out on the circuit in qualifying. But certainly to me, that looked like a really strong one. Wheel drop just at the end, though, could be enough just to knock that score down a bit. We can see Ian, the judges discussing this one.
Yeah, listen, they're going to go through all the finer points of it and try and work out where he went wrong. There was a very, very shallow, on his first front clipping point, a very shallow transition. It was very quick, not as snappy as what the judges would have liked to have seen. Neeson, though, you know, putting in a good run. Not sure if it's enough to contend with top spot at the moment. I'm going to say it was good, but like you say, Eddie, the wheel drops and the few little mistakes he made.
Yeah, certainly has the power to do. We mentioned 850 brake horsepower. He says this car has broken a few dynos. Score comes true, and a 60.7 for Robin Neeson. So those few errors costing him on his score, but certainly a driver that is definitely on form and just needs to tidy that run up again. Now, a man who is no stranger to backwards entries, Jack Shield, the Irishman from County Waterford. He's an electrician, 23 years of age, representing Mad Racing. 3-litre M3 underneath the bonnet, 270 brake horsepower, and you know, a pretty limited build, or a very basic build. BC Racing coilovers, IRP lock, Mishimoto cooling. Just a cheap, basic drift car, but this guy knows how to steer, and he's right up and personal with those curbs nice and early in the run-in.
Yeah, just hopping the front wheel up there, and you can see it got the car very actually. You can see how stiff that chassis is. Yeah, hopped a wheel up on the curb, and it unsettled the car. Judges could have knocked him down points for that because he kind of had to back out of it, get on the foot brake a little bit to settle the car again. Small error, but listen, apart from that, very good run for the equipment he has.
Yeah, look, he was honing his skills at the Ibisu circuit earlier on in the year, and you can see that wild style that he has. It's always a case of make or break, or you know, all or nothing type of style of driving for Jack Shield, and when it works beautifully, but sometimes just gets a little bit caught up. I think himself and Tom Murphy, who's going to be next on the line, two drivers, a 66 on the scoreboard for Jack Shield, but two drivers that just get a little bit caught up in trying to be too much of a showman in competition drifting. Now, we mentioned Tom Murphy, the stuntman, travelling over from Ireland as well this weekend, had a very strong round at the final round of the Pro-Am series of the Irish Drift Championship. Car causing him a few problems. He is looking to reproduce that good form here this weekend. at the Three Sisters Circuit Arena.
Yeah, Tom Murphy representing Yen Speed, Carrick Tools, Draper Tools, Drift Bits, Clonakilty Car Centre. Is that right?
Clonakilty, yeah, Clonakilty.
Close again.
They make pudding, they make cars, so... And Tom Murphy, you know what? He is a really talented driver, and I think he's underestimated because sometimes Tom just gets a little bit carried away, tries to go in backwards, and it ends up costing him. But if this guy just kind of keeps his composure, he can put in really solid qualifying runs, and that was a good example of what the stuntman is capable of. The only man in the world to fit a GT86 front to an S14. Something that he's very proud of, and a big score from Tom Murphy, 70 on the board on his first run, and 4th position. And with that out of the way, I would expect to see him go a little bit wild in the second run.
Yeah, we move it along back onto the line where we will see Rob Johnson, the plant engineer from Portsmouth, representing Hell Performance Aqua Garage, and his wife. His father of 2 boys who are in the crowd cheering him on as Rob Johnson makes his return to UK drifting in his brand new built 1.5J Nissan S14. And Rob doing a good job so far. Nice transition now as he comes into a lunar bend. Stands on the accelerator, starts to make loads of smoke. Dials out the angle ever so slightly. Gets nice and deep into the outer zone, takes it across the line. Good run there for Rob Johnson.
Yeah, very good run for Rob in that 500 brake horsepower S14, and of course a wise man giving the shout out to his wife because you know you got to keep the boss on side.
I'd give her a shout out to her. She's scary.
Yeah.
Tell you a story later about that.
Okay, all fair.
So we await the score for Rob Johnson to drop in. A very you know, committed run there for Rob. No backing out of it. Kept in it. And yeah, rewarded with a 74.7, so that drops Rob into 3rd place for the moment. A very good run.
Yeah, look, we're starting to see these scores creep up, just what we expected. Now, next on the line, cousin to an Aussie.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. Mike Lardner, the man from, I'm going to say, is it pronounced Lee?
Yeah.
Lee, yeah, wow. I'm better at this than you are. Representing Railway Motor Clutch Centre, Moose Juice, Voodoo Vinyls, and Pure Perflux Filters.
You were saying?
Yeah, look. Words are tricky, they're our downfall.
Oh, what a big error there for Lana as he makes a bit of a rolling burnout between 2 clipping points, gets back into it, those stands on the accelerator, fulfills all of that out of zone, takes it across the line, returning to competition in his brand new car, Nissan 350Z with a 2JZ under on it, 580 horsepower.
Yeah, look, just proves there watching that just how tricky it is between clip 4 and 5. You know, you come off clip 3 and you got to slow the car right down. It's a really snappy transition, and then it's just, you know, out to the right, out to the left, and then back on the power. Very tricky section of the circuit. A 52.7 on the board for Mike Lardner.
Yeah, listen, score heavily penalised. Clipping point 3. It was nigh on a straight line drag from there to 4, and yeah, heavily knocked down. We move it along. Bradley Wallbank sits on the line. He's the Bentley test driver, Eddie. What a job.
Yeah, look, I mean, you think you got yourself a good job, and this guy drives around Bentleys and gets paid for it.
All around the world as well, let me know.
Well travelled, yeah. Look, I'm going to talk to him and see if I can get a hookup because that sounds like the job for me. Sub 8-minute lap time in the Nürburgring as well. So this guy knows how to steer a car. This track maybe a little bit more technical and slow than what he might be accustomed to, but certainly doing a good job getting that car around, and sends up the smoke signals into our crowd here, and quite a decent crowd already showing up. If you are sitting at home and watching this on the live stream, remember, tickets available on the gate for today and tomorrow. And of course, tickets already on sale for round 5, the finale, the final round of the British Drift Championship, and also a farewell to Rockingham Motor Speedway. It'll be the last competitive event ever held at that arena. The grandstands tickets still available, but they are selling out fast, and only limited tickets remaining for that one. Make sure you get them online now. Score coming in for Bradley Wallbank, a 61, and enough for 8th position for him, and a good start to settle the nerves on his first run in qualifying.
Yeah, like you say, Eddie, yeah, a final farewell. So if you are local and you are sitting at home, get yourself down here tomorrow. It will be the pro day. We move it along to the line. It will be Slick Nick Brady on the line, the managing director from Orpington in Kent, representing Jason's Metals, Westlake Tyres, Automotive Works. Runs an RB25 under the bonnet, 500 150 horsepower, but Slick Nick not having the best of years, multiple car problems. I don't want to curse him.
Yeah, look, he says it's a great car driven by an idiot. Unfortunately, it looks like it's not the driver that's been at fault this season, and just hasn't worked in Nick's favour so far this year, and more problems it seems, Ian, as he just struggles to get the power down.
Yeah, it just seems like the car still has that cutting out issue that Nick hasn't been able to lose all season. I mean, it even doomed him last season at some points in the year, and yeah, Slick Nick there trying to do the best he can with the equipment he has.
Yeah, look, and it can be so difficult for these guys. You know, you plow everything into it, and drifting is it's a pastime for a lot of these guys, and you know, to have yourself come out to these competitions and have such issues can be very you know, demotivating. But a 25.3 on the board for Nick Brady. He's going to have work to do on his second run. Now we move it along to Tessa Widdock, a lady who is looking to change her fortune. 6 championship points is all she's been able to manage so far this season, but looking to turn that around here this weekend. The business development manager from Worcestershire. Won a JZ, 500 brake horsepower underneath the bonnet. Martin Richards' other half, and she's an absolute nutter, and one of the nicest ladies you'll meet on the grid. And we are hoping to see Tessa just show us exactly what she's capable of this weekend, because when she's on it in, she can really produce it.
Yeah, we've seen this girl drive all around Europe and put in some sterling performances. Just seems like when she comes back home to the UK, she struggles to get the game in her head, but you know what, she puts in a run, a slight error on initiation. You could see she used the handbrake and the foot brake to lock the car up. It messed her up a little bit. She couldn't get back on power quick enough, but you know what, it's a run under a belt, and hopefully Tess can, you know, put it together for the second one and put something right out the back. Like you say, an absolute nutter, 500 horsepower, representing Driftworks and Aero Kit. So we await the score for Tess to drop in. As you can see, the backdrop here, the Three Sisters Circuit, Wigan. Like Eddie said, tickets on sale now for the final round, the final chapter. The British Drift Championship 2018 at Rockingham right now. 67.3 for Tessa Widdock.
Yes, not a bad way for Tessa to start her qualifying campaign, and certainly a score like that will do a lot to settle her nerves. Now Ryan Toporowski sits on the line and ready to go, and a little bit of a, you know, sketchy practice session for Ryan this morning. Struggled with the conditions a little bit, and looking to change that around now as he takes his S15 out on the circuit. An absolute monster, this car. A real beast. 696 brake horsepower, 2JZ 3.4 Titan stroker kit, Samsona sequential gearbox, yellow speed coilovers. A little bit of an error though for Ryan, and we're shaping up to be quite a good run at that point.
Yeah, I didn't want to jump in there, Eddie, but yeah, we haven't seen much of Ryan Toporowski. Had problems with his old engine. John Allen mapped his car, said it's an absolute beast, and Ryan Toporowski put in a lot of investment into that car. And listen, you know what, I watched him earlier in practice and I thought the car is actually performing, and Ryan's getting some good practice. It just looks like maybe, I mean, I would say a mischief, but he has got a sequential gearbox, but just seems like something for Ryan there went wrong, and unfortunately put in a little bit of a straight. And Judge is still going to give him a score, I do believe. They're still talking about this one, but it's definitely going to be heavily penalised.
Yeah, and of course, you know, when there are little errors like that, the judges kind of got to just, you know, go back to the rule books and just go back to each other and kind of, you know, it's not as straightforward as a clean pass at a circuit. So they want to make sure that they're giving these guys a fair score as well, and, you know, give them credit for, you know, the good aspects of the run.
Go give him some credit, Eddie. Give him some credit.
Yeah, look, it's not about putting people down here at the British Drift Championship.
He's a big guy as well.
Yeah, so you don't want to mess with him. So here we go at 66.7 on the board for Ryan Toporowski.
Yes, so a score on the board for Topo. He will be happy with that. You know, listen, an error. He knows where he went wrong. Somewhere to improve from. We move it along. Richard McCall sits on the line, the lifting manager from Leeds, representing RJB, RS Tuning, CG Motorsport, Maxillan, Jelf Insurance. As he fires that car in, gets it off big lock already. This could mess him up. Yeah, look at him dialing it out.
It certainly has, and it's caused him problems, and it's very tricky, that early section of the run. And I think Richard McCourt now is going to be heavily penalised for those errors. Just couldn't get this run going, and of course, as is always the case, the early stages of the circuit are so important in terms of developing and building a good score. You've got to get that right, otherwise you're going to be on the wrong line for the rest of the run. And the lifting manager representing RJB, RS Tuning, CG Motorsport, Maxilin, Jeff Insurance, R33, 430 brake horsepower. He says he's living the dream, just delighted to be part of the drifting world, and wants to say thanks to all that make this a reality, all his sponsors, all his family, all his team. And a 42.3 leaves him in 16th position, but I'd imagine that's going to mean work to do for Richard McCord on the second run of qualifying.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, listen, that initiation catches a lot of people out. It's a very short initiation into that first bend, but this guy has got it all to play for. Oh no, we're going to miss Lewis Baker, so we're missing Lewis Baker. Listen, I spoke to him earlier in the pits. He'd lost third gear in his gearbox. He was going to go and try and do it in second. Maybe not going to make it to the line at all, so we move it forward again, where we will see... Oh, so it is Lewis Baker. So it is Lewis Baker opting to not drive his own car. He's jumped inside the car of Julie Robinson, and he's now going to put in a qualifying run, the borrowed car. What? Listen.
Yeah, look, I mean, he hasn't driven this car before, a spin, unfortunately, and you know, very kind of Julie, obviously, to offer this car to Lewis Baker, but the garage owner from Milton Keynes, you know, just goes to show it's not as easy as you know, to just sit into a brand new car. And of course, again, a second spin, but just I think just trying to use the rest of the run there just to try and get to grips with this car. He knows he's going to have a second run in it. It will be all to do, but very unfortunate, as you say, a gearbox issue for Lewis Baker early on in practice.
I tell you the biggest problem, Lewis Baker's car runs Wisefab front suspension, so that gives the car massive amounts of increased steering angle. He's used to driving his S14, and we always know that he's a flamboyant, outlandish driver, drives on big angle, big smoke, and then we make it official. It will be a 0 for the first qualifying run of Lewis. That car has got some steering modifications, but not as much as the Wisefab. And you know, when you're used to driving a car that's got big lock kits and not as, you know, as well, that R32 four-door, big, long, heavy car, completely different situation. We move it to the line to this guy, Danny Maguire. We seen him get towed off track earlier. Eddie, hopefully he's got that car back together and working. The gym owner from Wigan, representing Secret Performance, Auto Vision, Apex Gym and Moose Juice, fires that car in.
Yeah, recent success in a bodybuilding competition back in May of 2017, and looking to try and transfer that confidence from the gym over to the racing circuit. Forged RB26 under the bonnet, 525 brake horsepower.
Yeah, this looking very good for Danny Maguire so far. Nice snapping transitions and a very fast run. Little waver and a little wobble over the line, but you know what, for me, Danny Maguire really laying down there and a very good run, Eddie.
Yeah, look, Danny really doing a good job, and it seems to be whatever issues he was having this morning, Ian certainly got them sorted. Walking the gym owner from Wigan, a local track to this gentleman as well, and can he put a score on the board that's going to top qualifying?
Well, listen, it was very, very impressive to me. A 61.7 puts him in 10th position so far, and judges not seeing what I was seeing. No gold buzzer moment there for Danny Maguire. We move it along to Charles Funnell, the engineer from Milford-on-Sea. You can see a little wave to the camera, running a Toyota 1JZ in this BMW E36 Touring, 430 horsepower.
Yeah, so it's essentially a mixed race BMW, and Charles Funnell doing a nice job getting out and nice and wide. Just tucks that front end back in. Ooh, carrying a lot of speed in, and bye-bye to the grass here at the Three Sisters circuit here in Wigan. And just goes to show just how hard Charles Funnell is pushing here, getting that front wheel up onto the curb, and a very fast run of the circuit, very aggressive. And Charles Funnell is certainly a man on a mission, and a driver pushing very hard so far this weekend. You can see in the background the live stream control truck for See It Live, the guys who produce a fantastic live stream in Ireland, in the UK, and all across Europe, and we've spent a lot of time with those guys. A fantastic team. 54.7 on the board for Charles Funnell. A lot of aggression in, but if you got to control it and you got to stop those errors creeping in. But certainly a driver to watch if he can reproduce some of that magic on his second run.
Yeah, just a little bit overly aggressive for me for young Charles Funnell. Just yeah, like you say, coming too hot. Carried into the grass, we move it along to the next guy on the line. It will be Stephen McConnell, the Rolls-Royce engineer from Chapel Hall, Glasgow. 2.8 BMW.
And if you thought about getting involved in drifting,
very true words.
Just pay very close attention to what's written on the back of this particular E36.
Oh, so it does look like we have Paul McConnell. So it does look like we have, sorry, not Paul McConnell. It does look like we do have Paul Cunnington. Yeah, Paul Cunnington got caught up a little bit into the traffic, Eddie. Apparently some of these guys out of their cars having a chat and got in his way. Couldn't make his way to the line, but now he pulls up. The project manager from Tamworth in Staffordshire will get his shot at a qualifying run. Running a 1JZ, 480 horsepower under the bonnet.
Yeah, representing Slide Industries Clothing, OP Oils, Walton Motorsport. He's a food lover. He's into downhill mountain biking and loves a good superhero film. Now, can he beat a superhero this weekend? Not all heroes wear capes, some of them wear racing suits, and Paul Cunnington, right now, Ian, doing a really nice job just getting this car right where it needs to be.
Yeah, very, very good so far. Really nice transitions as he gets into that lunar bend, stands on the accelerator, gets the car. Look at that, very, very settled, nice line. Just dials a little bit more angle on as he comes into that clipping point. Nice and deep into the outer zone. Good angle across the line.
And looking very controlled.
Very good run.
Yeah, very controlled throughout for Paul Cunnington. Could the project manager from Tamworth be one to cause an upset today? We await that score from the judges for Paul Cunnington. Certainly I expect this one to be up there in an 83 dead for Paul Cunnington. To get a little bit ahead of myself.
Eddie nearly
fell off position. Wow.
You nearly fell off your seat,
I
Eddie.
nearly fell off my seat. You know what, we haven't seen a big run in a while, and Paul Cunnington setting the bar high. I certainly wasn't expecting that when he left the line, but he has really wowed us and certainly became the superhero in his own film here this weekend.
Yeah, very, very good run there for Paul Cunnington. And yeah, he's set the standard for the rest of the guys. We go back to Stephen McConnell, who now does pull up to the start line. The Rolls-Royce engineer from Chapel Hall in Glasgow. Like I was saying, yeah, financial mistake, Eddie. Yeah, strong words.
Yeah, and I've recently, I've just recently made one of those, so delighted to be part of it.
But wheels drop there for Stephen McConnell as he comes around that first turn. Oh, what a big straight.
Yeah, driving straight for quite a portion of the circuit there, Ian.
Yeah, big straight and wheels dropped, and now starts to transition into that lunar bend. Gets the car settled nicely. As you can hear, really working at 2.8, only 205 horsepower. Look at that, almost barely drifting.
Yeah, it looks like that car just running out of grunt as you know, just can't keep it sideways and on power. So kind of really have to dial off the angle and just kind of almost straight line through the circuit. So I don't imagine that one's going to threaten for top spot for the Rolls-Royce engineer from Chapel Hall. As you say, a basic 2.8, 205 brake horsepower under the bonnet, so really up against it. 49.7 though for Stephen McConnell as he puts a score on the board on his first run of qualifying.
And we keep it going. We move on to the next guy on the line. It will be Josh King, mechanic from Worcester, representing JK Services. This guy shocked me in practice, very, very committed from his first practice when he was the first guy off the line and the first one out, as he fires in this M50 V25 turbo, 575 horsepower, and very committed, Eddie, as he sends it in.
Yeah, very committed, as he needs to be, and you know what, just something about this E36 BMW that I just love. It's just looks like it's it'd be perfect pride of place, you know, as your daily driver, yet it's a track killer as well. And
I think it's because it's subtle.
Yeah,
very, very subtle.
Very subtle. Yeah. The purple wheels, a nice touch. They offset the blue very well. And Josh King, you know what, for me, did a very good job on that first run. Says he could fight off ninjas with just a spoon, a rare, rare talent. And result coming through from the judges. Where will Josh King place? An 87, Keane. An 87, Ian, rather.
Wrong one.
Wrong number. Wrong person. I've got Keane in my headset and Ian beside me. It's so confusing.
Yeah, very, very good run there for Josh King. Listen, I said this guy was looking good earlier on in practice as he fired it in. And there you go, an 87 on his first qualifying run. When we move it along to this guy, Martin County on the line, the machinist from Rushton. 1JZ under the bonnet of this S14.
Yeah, not only is this guy a machinist, he's a machinist in the Formula One industry. I mean, there's some guys on the grid here at the BDC, Ian, with the coolest of jobs.
Yeah, very, very cool. But we've got a cool job, Eddie.
It's pretty cool, Lauren.
We've got a pretty cool job, yeah. So as Martin Cowley finishes up his run, absolutely smokes out Three Sisters Circuit and the inside of his S14. Can barely see where he's going, look at that.
Yeah, what's more impressive is this car built from scratch, and Martin just learning as he goes, and I like that. I like to see a guy, you know, getting hands-on and trying to learn and develop a car himself, and not outsourcing the work to you know, people with a little bit more knowledge. And the score drops in for Martin Cowley. A 74 sees him into 6th position temporarily. And a nice start to the qualifying campaign for the machinist from Rushden. Now we move it on to James Ireland, the 32-year-old construction worker from Kelty and Fife, and a few fans here for James Ireland.
James Ireland, who's not from Ireland.
No.
How about that?
But we'll, you know what? We'll give him an honorary passport to the greatest country in the world.
Wow.
300 brake horsepower, BMW M3 engine, and you know it's true.
It's not bad. Oh, as he sends it in a big angle, but he's got it wrong. He's got it wrong.
Gets it very wrong, does James Ireland, and you know, even with a name like James, it doesn't mean you're going to produce magic on the drift circuit every time you come out, and I think a run to forget for James Ireland. He'll go to the back of the grid and just, you know,
start again.
Yeah. Focus on the second run, one more to get it done, and you know, as you say, drifting, a very cutthroat industry. You get 2 30-second opportunities to get yourself in the game. 41.7, enough for 23rd position at the moment. I would imagine as we see the scores creep in for second runs, that's going to drop down quite significantly. Now on the line, Stuart Egdal, a man who has had mixed fortunes in the British Drift Championship this year. He's representing Goodrich, EP Racing, Paint Tech, 360 Wraps, AET Turbos, Turbo Smart, 5-0 Motorsport, Powerflex, OBP, Piper Cross, and Extreme Clutch. And this car and driver combination works very well when they're both on form, and shaping up to be quite a decent run here so far. Can Stuart Egdal keep it going?
Oh, and just a little wobble there. Looks like he had maybe an upshift problem. But yeah, apart from that, Egdal doing a very, very good job right up until that point.
Yes, the Highways England traffic officer swapping the speeding tickets for the racetrack this weekend. 2JZ under the bonnet. But as you say, look, a couple of errors creeping into that run for Stuart Egdal, as we await to see where he will land in the order after his first run. Such a cool looking car, I gotta say.
Yeah, very, very good livery there that those guys run.
So judges finished their deliberating at 48.3 and 21st position for Stuart Egdal, and another driver with some work to do. In the second half of qualifying, we moved on to the Royal Air Force engineer that is Ryan Cooper.
Yep, from Northallerton, representing Icarus, Artec, Welding, Excite Energy, XS Wraps, Funo Auto Tuning UK.
Yeah, RB25 underneath the bonnet, 650 brake horsepower, an absolute monster Skyline.
Also now running that new HGT sequential gearbox, and look at this from Cooper as he sends that car around the circuit. Big angle and big smoke. Can he keep it a little wobble there as he fires it around the last turn?
Just lacking that fluidity in, which I think might, you know, be what would keep him from some of the top spots. But certainly positive signs for Ryan Cooper as he completes his first half of qualifying. And as the morning goes on, we're starting to see guys, you know, just find out where the grip is on the circuit and find the right lines and just dialing in their setup and their techniques a little bit more precisely, and we imagine that we're going to see those scores start to increase, and the style and level of driving increase as well. 68.3 and 9th position. Nice start for Ryan Cooper.
Yeah, very good start there for Ryan Cooper. We move it along to the next guy. That will be Paul Beachy, the water engineer for Ramsgate, representing Washloo, APW Engineering, Dynamic Detailing, MB Automotive, Evolution branded clothing. Says he likes a nice cup of tea.
Yeah, look, I think Ireland and England were built on a nice cup of tea, you know. We owe our success to cups of tea. Who doesn't like a nice one? Paul Beachy, though, out on circuit, trying to turn the season around here.
Yeah, very tentative on the initiation, makes a little error there, had to use the handbrake to slow it down. Now he gets into the faster portion of the circuit. You can see that Mazworks SR22, 535 horsepower, really coming to work as he stands on the accelerator and pulls it over the line. It's a nice finish to the run for me. A few mistakes on the initiation and the lead up to that, you know, faster section.
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be it's going to be a little bit later in the day when we start seeing these guys really dial in this circuit. You know, any other circuit that we go to, they've driven countless times in the past. This is brand new for a lot of these guys, and with it being so tight and technical in the midsection, you can see a 65.7 on the board for Paul Beachy. But with it being as tight and technical as it is, you know, guys just got to dial in the setup on the car and just work out where they got to place the car in order to be perfect.
Exactly that. So we go back to the start line where we see Lee Lawrence, the project manager from Hertfordshire. This guy's always smiling, and he's always happy.
And why not, when you can, you know, slay a drift car around a circuit at the weekends, put on a show for the fans, and...
Oh, and you can hear him kicking that clutch, the car bogging down ever so slightly there as Lee Lawrence now sends it in. This is going to be an over-rotation, or can he hold on to it? Oh, he has to back out of it. It was a big error there from Lee Lawrence on that transition.
Yes, you know what, I think he gets it all wrong, really. It all stems from his entry into that first corner and never really got the car going in.
No, like you say, yeah, all stems back to the initiation. Kind of got it wrong a little bit and then had to work from it from there on out. So it's going to be a poor score for Lee Lawrence. But he'll be smiling. He's got the nickname Colgate. He's got a huge grin.
Oh yeah, rocking them pearly whites.
And there we go, a 50.7 for Lee Lawrence.
So next on the line will be Stephen Fitzgerald, the company director from Mallow in County Cork, or Mala as the locals refer to it. Representing Fitzgerald's Vehicle Works, RB25, 550 brake horsepower underneath the bonnet.
Oh wow, what a big correction there. It looked like it had so much promise from just before the initiation. As Fitzgerald makes a huge error, gets back into it though, pops the wheel up on the curb, now starts to make his way around Luna Bend, stands on the accelerator, gets that car set up nicely, nice and deep into the outer zone. Another big clutch kick there as he gets into the final outer zone and across the line, and Fitzgerald not doing a whole lot wrong, just an error on initiation.
Yeah, just that little error, and of course this car built by West Coast Performance back in Cork, and certainly car looks to be performing very well this weekend. Stephen Fitzgerald just needs to get his head right and get himself into the game. Looked like a decent run, with the exception of it, you know, just one or two small errors creeping in, and I say very difficult when the pressure is on Ian to avoid those errors as well. So Steve Fitzgerald heads back to the grid as he awaits the score from the judges. Judges still discussing this one, but the score drops in a 52.3 and room for improvement, and he will know that he's going to have his work cut out just to try and pull it out of the bag on the second run.
Yeah, he certainly will. So we was meant to be seeing Jolene McDonald, but she's not made it to the line, so we'll be moving forward to Dominic Gates, the jeweller from Horsham in West Sussex.
Yeah, Diamond Dom with a 1UZ, or 1JZ rather, 500 brake horsepower under the bonnet of this very well developed S13.
Yeah, Dominic Gates just having a little bit of misfortune throughout the year, not really getting the season he was looking for, but this looking nice so far as he avoids that front clipping point, transitions nicely and transitions back into the outer zone, gets the car set up very nice. Look how balanced the car is as he gets into the outer zone. One more outer zone to go for Dominic Gates, and across the line, very tidy job.
Yeah, a really nice run from Dominic Gates, and you know, a driver who will be seen this weekend as an opportunity to really bump himself right up the order and see if he can get himself into contention for a podium finish in the championship. 2 rounds to go, 100 points up for grabs for these guys. So this championship isn't done yet, Ian, by any stretch of the imagination. As we say, tickets on sale, limited grandstand seating available, and look at this, Dominic Gates puts in a score of 85, which jumps him into second position. Huge run from Dominic Gates.
Yeah, listen, like we said earlier, and I know we're maybe causing a little bit of fate here, but say, for instance, your championship leader doesn't make it to the line for both his qualifying runs, he doesn't qualify, and someone else comes in, wins this round and wins the next round. could be all to play for already. We move it along to the line. William Hanna sits on the line, the renewables O&M manager from Limavady in Northern Ireland, representing Tarmac Sports. RB25, 450 horsepower as he sets it up nicely. Hanna gets back on the accelerator. Now starts to pedal his Skyline through that front flip, drops the wheel, slows the car down and transitions into the outer zone.
Yeah, William Hanna, a driver who I think is just getting stronger and stronger every time he comes out on circuit, and getting used to what it feels like to compete at the high level that is the Pro-Am Championship in the British Drift Championship. And you know what? That looked like another really strong run from William Hanna. He's put a lot of money into this car and into this build. Sold his old Sierra Cosworth in order to fund himself and his drifting passion. And right now, William Hanna awaits the score from the judges. A 71, enough for 9th position, sits inside that top 10 and poised nicely for top 32 battles later on.
Yeah, very good job there from William Hanna as we move it back to the line. It's probably one of the lowest cars on the grid. It will be Neil Bamford, the plumbing and heating engineer from Hinckley in Leicestershire, representing Airtech. This car always immaculately prepared, and Neil's such a nice guy. Look, running that stance there, really.
Yeah, dirt nasty low, and using all his time attack experience to try and transfer all that experience over onto the drift circuit. And just an error there though as he comes through that tight section of the circuit. And right now Neil Bamford will be kicking himself as he knows a wasted opportunity at putting in a really strong run. And again, one of these drivers that sits a little bit down the order but within touching distance of that championship and those top 3 spots. So good performance here could be what Neil Bamford needs just to reignite his championship chase, but not like that. So all to do in the second half of qualifying, you feel?
Yeah, exactly. As we wait that score to drop in there for Neil Bamford. As you can see him in the car, a little bit frustrated with himself. He knows he made a mistake and he has work to be done in the second run, like you say, Eddie. As the score drops in a 45.3, so a 45.3 there for Neil Bamford. Drops him into 29th position at the moment. He's going to need to improve on that as we move through the order. Next up will be Philip Hayden, the college student from Wisbeach.
Yeah, this thing will run in a nitrous oxide.
Surprised you that, didn't it?
It really did, yeah. And you know what? It's such a cool little car. Gotta say, I love an E36 compact. So what can Philip Hayden do, the 17-year-old college student? Studying motor vehicle service and repair from Wisbech, representing M&W Autos, Maxstream Performance and PAB Mortgages.
The most important thing about his information is, though, Eddie, that his claim to fame is that he's an Ed Sheeran lookalike.
Yeah.
He's an Ed Sheeran lookalike. So if you're doing a birthday party, a bar mitzvah, a wedding, you can hire him.
Yeah, if you're watching at home, you're going to see his mugshot popping up on your screen when we get the result. Mugshot, yeah.
Yeah, you get to see him on your screen at home in a minute. And yeah, Philip Hayden. Available for hire.
Available for hire, yeah.
Look at that, look.
There you go.
A 17th position, though, for Philip Hayden, a 61.7. I think he's bigger claim to fame that he was doing some stuff with some famous racing drivers the other week.
I would rather hear that E36 sing than to hear Ed Sheeran sing. Wow, there we go. Look, moving on. Ross Barr sits on the line. And if you want to talk about impressive builds, this is an example of what comes out of Quinn Motorsport in Northern Ireland. Joe Doyle built and created this incredible PS13 for Ross Barr, and to say he likes the limiter, Ian, is an understatement.
Yeah, but big error there, and he has to back out of it. And you know what, I think Ross Barr just got to inside his own head a little bit there, come out, you know, all guns blazing, and no regard really to the qualifying line. Got himself in a bit of a situation where he had to, like I say, transition too early, completely missed that outer clipping zone 4.
Yeah, I think his problem is that he still drives this car like his old BMW 328 compact, and it's just limiter bashing, clutch kicks everywhere, and maybe needs to just change the style of driving.
Rein it back a little bit.
Just a little bit. We want to see controlled aggression. A 49.3 for Ross Barr and 28th position. and we know he's got it in the tank to do it. It's just about producing it when it matters, and Ross Barrett knows now going into the second half of qualifying that he has it all to do. So next on the line from Stratford in London is Nerijus.
Yeah, Nerijus makes his way through the initiation point. You going to go for it, Eddie? You going to try it?
Valjukavicius.
That's only because someone told you in your ear that's cheating.
No, I was just about to say it.
So this guy made a big impact on the British Drift Championship at round 3 in Driftland. As you can see now, doing a very nice job. All drops wheels over though, and Nerijus winning the local event to me, the King of the Ring, the other weekend.
Yeah, interestingly enough, bought this car in a salvage auction and built it to this spec in Lithuania, 2JZ 500 brake horsepower. So this car's done a little bit of traveling and a bit of a story behind it. But Nery's just a simple dude and just loves to come out on track and kill it. And look at this, an 81.7 for the Stratford man.
Yeah,
and
the
fourth position.
The worst thing about Nerijus is his mentor is an absolute psychopath. His mentor is...
One Arimas Vaskelis.
Yeah, that's the guy. On the line, the Funk...
A man who needs no introduction. So
the Funk Motorsport sponsored Oliver Bolton, car painter from Essex.
Yeah.
SR20, 400 horsepower on the Bont SS13, immaculately prepared, and a lovely paint job from Oliver Bolton. It's, Oliver Bolton doing a nice run so far, using the handbrake so the car carrying a lot of speed, now needs to stand on the accelerator. Oh, scrappy transition as Bolton now gets into it, gets that car settled nicely, stands on the accelerator. Look at that, dials the angle on as he comes through. And Oliver Bolton takes that Funk Motorsport.
Yeah, really nice run there from Oliver Motorsport.
Oliver Motorsport?
Oliver Motorsport, Oliver Bolton in the Funk Motorsport 180SX. All fiberglass panels and a rear clamshell on that vehicle. And a big shout out to Funk Motorsport, who are of course sponsors of the series and giving back. So you know what we always say, if you're buying parts for your car, you can see them if you're watching at home on live stream. All of our sponsors scrolling across the bottom of the screen. If you need parts for your car, give back to the guys who give back to the drivers. So a 74.7 on the board for Oliver Bolton.
Yeah, very good run. I think he had more in the tank there for Oliver Bolton. He could definitely do a little bit more. We move it along to the next guy on the line, Cole Farrar. He's a part-time drift taxi driver for Three Sisters. So listen, if anyone's got some seat time around here, it should be this guy, Eddie.
Yeah, the Farrar X8, SR20 underneath the bonnet, and representing Colour Sound Experiment, Two Roads Motorsport, BM Auto Bodies, and What Would Dango Do?
Yep, so Cole Farrar makes his way around the circuit, almost over-rotates it, but stays in it. Gets to that outer zone 4. And stands on the accelerator, just running the edge of that rumble strip. Very nice line as Farrar gets to the final outer zone, just drops the wheel, flicks up a little bit of dirt, and takes it over the finish line. So we await the score to drop in there for Cole Farrar.
Yeah, the part-time drift taxi driver for the Three Sisters.
I thought he was a part-time rock star. Oh, he is. Yeah,
he's a full-time rock star.
Right, gotcha.
But he manages to...
in his spare hour.
Yeah, so it's like a 23.5 a day rock star service that he provides, and then for 30 minutes...
He comes here and does drift passenger rides. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
He's a busy guy, though.
He is, yeah, flat out. Doesn't find time to sleep, I don't know.
He's a rock star, he doesn't sleep.
Yeah. Who am I kidding? 77.7.
Wow, look at that for the rock star that is Cole Farrar. We move it along to the next guy on the line. It should have been Dolby Smith. Dolby Smith having problems with their car. We spoke to him an hour ago. And he said, the car's fine, I'm good. We'll go out there and see how it goes and not make it to line, so it will be a 0 for his first run. We move it along. Andy Earl, we spoke to this guy earlier, finished on the podium at round 3. Eddie?
Yeah, look, the confidence is high in this young man right now because he's coming here thinking, I've got a podium under my belt. All I need to do is reproduce what I did at round 3, and I'm going to be going right back to that podium because right now, I'm the guy that people in the BDC need to be watching. They know I'm coming for it, and he is on it right now, Ian.
Yeah, this is absolutely flying from Andy Earl. Like you say, Eddie, carrying that confidence from the final round as Andy Earl stands at the accelerator, looks for the final clipping point, and takes it over the line. Andy Earl gets a round of applause from the judges, and you know what? Rightly so. Very good run.
Really good run from Andy Earl, and it's amazing what a podium can do for a driver's confidence. And we've seen it in the past, guys. You know, they can just be mid-pack drivers for so long, then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, podium, and then straight into it from there. They just boost their confidence, boost their reputation, and Andy Earl doing another really solid job here in qualifying. Will the score represent and reflect what we have seen out on circuit? We're about to find out as the judges enter in their scores, and here we go. The score for Andrew Earl will be an 84.3, and enough for third position for Andrew Earl. And right now, things are looking up for Andy Earl as the Dublin guy seems to be oozing confidence. And we move on to another Irish driver representing Drift Games, the Trader Company, RH Construction, Mobile One, Burke Lubricants, Dean M Sport, and Moose Design. It is, of course, Tomas Falvey with an RB25 under the bonnet, 550 brake horsepower. A man that is always smiling. And another driver, Ian, who has had a podium this season. He's competing in the Irish Drift Championship. He's competing in the BDC. He has just had endless track time, and it is proving its worth as Tomas Falvey gets a round of applause from our judges. Wow.
Now that is going to top qualifying. I've said it.
Okay.
I wasn't going to do it.
I'm going to sit here. I'm going to say nothing.
Some people told me I'm not very good at making judged scores. But you know what? I'm going to call it. I'm going to say Flavor Flav as just top qualifying. What a run.
So you're
straight
saying
from initiation.
That's going to outdo an 85 from Dominic Gates?
I'd even go as much as saying that could break a 90.
Wow.
That was a good run for Tomas Falvey. And like you say, Falvey coming off of that podium in the Irish Drift Championship.
Your reputation is hanging in the balance.
What's it going to be, Eddie?
A 94 for Tomas Falvey. Ian, you were right into the 90s. Wow. And you know what? A 94, first position. This target has been set nice and high. Tomas Falvey, right now, is the man to beat.
Listen, I'm never wrong. It was the other guys that always judged me.
Yeah, look, you've been mistaken in the past, but never, ever wrong.
So we move it along to the guy on the line who's got 9 lives. It will be Matt Walker, the injection molding engineer from Shropshire, representing Fred Wilson Restores. Says he's only got 4 lives remaining though as he pedals his S54 powered BMW 30 and 300 horsepower.
Yeah, the man that was resurrected by
the cat gods,
and this little E30 is purring right now as it negotiates its way around the circuit. Matt Walker doing a hell of a job here, keeping this car on that outer line.
Yeah, very, very good job there for Matt Walker. And listen, the Giant Killer, we nicknamed him a few years ago. This guy always seems to rock up at one event of the year and just absolutely knock everyone down. And you know, I've got a feeling this could be the round as we see a very, very good run there for Matt Walker. We wait for the score to drop in though. I could be right again. Oh, I'm right again. An 83.3. This is my weekend.
Have you got the lotto numbers, mate?
I wish.
So the score is really starting to increase now, and a man that will be looking to further that is Ricky Lawrence. Your round 3 winner, if I'm not mistaken, Ian.
Yeah, I do believe so. As Lawrence fires it in. Representing Driftland TV, RL Services and Shore Wraps. SR 20 under the bonnet, 430 horsepower. Ricky Lawrence working that clutch and accelerator combination as he gets back into it, into that lunar bend.
Yeah, very smooth ride here from Ricky Lawrence so far. And look at the control of that vehicle. No wavers and across the line. And you know what? I'm seeing some nice glimpses of talent out there. And if you can see a lot of, you know, relatively high qualifying scores going in, that's telling me that we're going to see some good battles later on, because if these guys can get that qualifying line dialed in, it means the guys chasing them can have confidence going in hard behind them. Look at this, an 84 for Ricky Lawrence, 5th position in qualifying.
Yeah, so scores really starting to creep up now as we move it along to our top 6 drivers in the championship. First up will be Lewis Mitchell.
Yeah, top 8 drivers now in the 80s. One driver, of course, in the 90s. As Lewis Mitchell, the carpenter from Spalding, leaves the line representing 1552. JL O'Rourke and Sons, Mitchell Motorsport and Bulldog Services. Stock car racing background. All his granddads and his dad, world champions. 1JZ under the bonnet though. It's all about drifting for Lewis Mitchell. Rise Fab, rear mounted radiator, turbo Mac wheels, and looks cool as hell. We won't argue with you on that one. Lewis Mitchell crosses the line, and again, another nice job from our drivers. And you know what? Some of these mid-pack guys really laying down laying down these high scores and setting the standard high for the higher ranked drivers in the championship.
Yeah, so a very good job there from Lewis Mitchell, and we await to see where he drops in as the scores come in. A 76.3, a 76.3 for the man from Spalding. A very, very nice, tidy job there. Puts him into 11th position so far. David Egan, very good with the scores there. 79 Egan. Mr. Egan feeling generous this weekend. We move it along to Alexis Drew, the junglist soldier from London. Now, he has to be a 66 to beat his better half, shall we say, Eddie?
Yeah, and he has 666 brake horsepower.
Needs a 66. Very good, Eddie. I love what he done there. I love what he done there.
So this car is now sponsored by G3 Pro. And those guys giving him a lot of help just to keep this car on the grid. So great to see sponsors coming on board and supporting our drivers.
Yeah, Drew doing a very nice job. Oh, and a little, you know, like a rolling burnout. Twice I've seen Drew do that sort of thing in this run. Not the best of runs, Eddie. Not the best of runs there for Alexis Drew. A lot of pressure.
And you know what? I think the pressure of having your better half sitting on the same grid and already putting in a really strong first qualifying run. So Alexis Drew could be feeling the pressure here. There could be a change of who wears the pants when they head home this evening. But look, second half of qualifying still to come, and we still got to get a score on the board for Alexis Drew, a 77.7. Wow, 10th position for our judges.
A very, very good score there for Alexis Drew, and work to be done for his better half. As we move it along to Ryan Caldwell now, the story in the pits was that this car wasn't going to make it out for qualifying. He was going to be in the Quinn's headman, Kevin Quinn's S13, but it looks like the team got the car back together again, Eddie, and he's now making his way out Caldwell. Yeah,
Ryan having problems with the turbo earlier on. They were unsure as to whether or not they were going to risk it. Then they decided that they'd go out in Kevin Quinn's car. That was at the end of practice. They didn't have an opportunity to go out in Kevin Quinn's car just to test and see what it was like. So they've obviously made the decision with that little bit of extra time just to have a look at this car, and Ryan deciding that he would go out in his own car, take the chance, and it looks as though from what we've just seen that that may have been a good decision. The 16-year-old student from Strabane in County Tyrone, representing Quinn Motorsport, Aidan Caldwell Plant Sales, P. O'Neill Scaffolding.
Yeah, 2JZ, 750 horsepower under the bonnet, did a very, very good job. And Judgy's talking about this one, though. Maybe they see some things that we didn't see. You know, he's got a...
well, you know what? There wasn't a whole lot that they didn't see. An 87.7, a big result there for Ryan Caldwell. And hopefully that car is, you know, exactly where it needs to be in terms of performance.
Yeah, as we move it along to the top 3 in the championship, Eddie, up next, Hayden Cruikshank, the managing director of an event lighting company from London. The number 2 JZ, 600 horsepower this time. Cruikshank being very consistent this season. Can he continue the form, Eddie?
Well, you know what? At the moment for Hayden Cruikshank, he's right where he wants to be. Sits in third in the championship. The limelight is on Alistair Sutton and Lee Scott. So could he just creep up the order and you know, come in undetected from that third position? Certainly right now, Hayden Cruikshank getting that car right where it needs to be. 2JZ underneath the bonnet, 600 brake horsepower, funding himself, and right now, for me, the dark horse here this weekend. And as you say, Ian, a very consistent championship so far for him, and with 2 rounds to go, who's to say that Hayden Cruikshank couldn't be your 2018 British Drift Championship Pro-Am champion? 74.3, enough for 17th position. That is how high the scoring is, at 74.3, and he's down in 17th position.
Yeah, listen, it was a small wobble as he come over the line, and he basically straightened just before the finish line, so judges could have knocked him down a lot for that. But up next, second place in the championship, Alistair Sutton, the 2017 Drift Cup champion, 2016 King of the Ring champion from Essex. Sutton fires his car and he knows this circuit very well, driven here many times.
Yeah, you want to talk about an underdog hero. This is a man that has a 2.8 litre BMW M52 engine with 200 brake horsepower underneath the bonnet, and he is sitting in 2nd position in the championship, just 36 points behind the championship leader, Lee Scott. I mean, how incredible is that?
I mean, we're in the top 6 at the moment, and the top 6 are 1 JZ, 2 JZ, 2 JZ, 2 JZ, RB25. Everything is plus 500 horsepower, except for Alistair Sutton's car, as Alistair Sutton finishes up his run. It always comes alive in battles, Eddie, is Alistair Sutton. Very technical driver, very good line driver, so we expect a good score.
Yeah, that's what makes him very difficult to beat. He has that consistency, and as you say, he doesn't have the power, so he has to be good on line. And I think that's what you see from a lot of these drivers that drive, that start off and learn their trade, learn their craft in an underpowered car. They've got to be precise. And a 60.3, 32nd position here for Alistair Sutton, not to start the qualifying he wanted. And Ian, I think when he comes back around to his 2nd run, he's going to sit outside that top 32, because a man who sits on the line, Lee Scott, as soon as he scores here, should he put in what we would expect to see a big run from him, the championship leader. The only thing that has beaten him this year is mechanical problems. He has not been outperformed in the Irish Drift Championship or the British Drift Championship this season. And he is currently your Irish Drift Championship Pro-Am champion for the 2018 season. This guy is on form.
Yeah, and a very, very good run there as Scott finishes up the run.
Yeah, big run from Scott, and a big shout out to Shay Rogers, who will be watching on eagerly, supporting these Northern Irish drivers from his holiday in Spain.
Wow, fancy.
Yeah, so there you go. Isn't it? So Lee Scott could tie up the championship this weekend, but you know what? I think we're going down to an interview with after the result from the judges. So in just a moment's time, Nathan Black will be talking to Lee Scott.
Your mate, did you say?
My mate, yeah, my mate. I love him.
Look at that,
85, Ian. 85 on the board for Lee Scott, which does mean now that Alistair Sutton is outside the top 32.
Yep, so we are now going to go down to Nathan. Nathan, you're with Lee Scott, the championship leader.
So we're going to have a chat now with Lee Scott. Superb driving there, Sausage, absolutely sensational stuff. An 85.
How you feeling? You rev my engine, I'll tell you that. Talk to me.
Yeah, his first run, I said, look, we've been a safe run. Only back in the car after driving Kevin's car for 2 rounds. We're just sort of going on to the fill of things again. So safe run in now, it's left me, I'm still in the game. So next run, I'll give it my all.
I heard Kevin round and give it his all. You heard that together in your goulash of racing madness. I wish you all the best. Give me some respect now. Boom, there it is. BDC, round 4, back to you.
There we go, Eddie.
Good to see that he's now changed to round 4 as opposed to round 4.
Round 4, yeah. Give him time.
Yeah.
Give him time. We move it along, back to the start line to, you know, the guy who had it all to do on his first run, the Cameron Martin. So we see this guy put the first qualifying run of the day down, the Drift Cup driver. Yeah,
Cameron Martin really struggled, and you know, a 25 on the board. And look, difficult to be the first driver to come out at any particular event. And of course, when it's you're making the jump up from Drift Cup up to the British Drift Championship Pro-Am level, you know, it can be a jump for some of these guys. Of course, only wet practice for Cameron as well. When he came out on track, then it was bone dry. What can he do this time around? Can he get it right in the second half of qualifying? Here we go. Cameron Martin, 1 run to get himself in the game.
Well, yeah, we're currently looking at a 60 or more, a 60.7 to be exact or more, to find yourself inside top 32 competition. Cameron Martin currently sitting with a 25, so he has work to do, but big errors.
Ian Cameron was looking so good and just came off the line, straightened up quite a bit. Oh, I thought he was about to do it there.
No, he made an error already.
Well, I know he made an error.
Yeah,
So unfortunate there
yeah.
for Cameron Martin and the mechanical engineer from Fife in Scotland. Yeah, looking so good up at the lap point at 37.7, not enough, and the end of his weekend, and it is just that harsh. 2 runs,
and it's done.
And it's done.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, we now start to see the precedent set for the scores for top 32, and listen, it's not going to be easier. And as these scores, as soon as these guys come out, scores are going to get higher. It's going to be very hard to get inside top 32. We move it along to the next guy. Will be Ian Wyatt. Somebody else is sitting outside of top 32 at 47. So Wyatt, with work to be done right now.
Yeah, representing Comp Break and Wide Nation. What can Wyatt do? That 47 from his first run, as we say, not enough to get him inside that top 32. Dropping wheels though, and having to correct, keeps that car on angle, and you know, just getting that car unsettled. And
listen,
you just see, once you make those little errors, it becomes very difficult to get the car back on angle and keep it controlled.
Yeah, listen, he went for an upshift. He selected a gear, tried to give it a big clutch kick. It just wasn't having none of it, and unfortunately, listen, I do believe that will be a 0, but we need to make it official for Ian Wyatt, so that we'll see the end of his weekend as well. As we see Ian Wyatt returning to the back of the grid. And the sun, Eddie, has made an appearance here.
Yes, it may be mid-September, but that doesn't mean the sun can't shine. And yeah, as you say, look, confirmation there on your screens at home that a 0 is what Ian Wyatt will get on his second run. Now, we move it along. Garrett Rogers, he has a 56 on his first run. Again, needs to improve. He takes the circuit. Malks, our start line marshal, gives him the command. And Garrett Rogers looks to pull it out of the bag here for his second run. Nice so far, as he makes a little dab of the hydro just to get that car changing in the right direction, and now back on the power through the final section. Big long pull here around the corner and up the bank and across the line. And again, Garrett Rogers, you know, doing quite a good job, but is it enough to improve on that 56? And more importantly, is it enough to break into that 60s and drop Robin Neeson out of the top 32 spot?
Well, we await for the score to drop in. Can Gareth Rogers find himself inside top 32, like you say, Eddie? And an 81.7 for Gareth Rogers. Pulls it out of the bag when it matters, and you know what, listen, that's making a statement.
That is really making a statement. That is just showing that he has it in the bag and he has the ability to do it when it matters. Jake Lynch now sits on the line. Can he do what Gareth Rogers has just done? Can he replicate it? Can the 17-year-old student from Wirral, can he get himself into that top 32? Here we go.
Yeah, he needs to pull it out of the bag right now, Eddie. He currently sits with a 58.7, which we know, but it's a big straight and a big
straight lining quite a bit through that midsection, Ian. And that's going to penalise the score quite heavily. And with that error, I'm not so sure that this is going to be enough, regardless of what he produces from here on out, to secure a spot in the top 32. A little bit sketchy towards the end of the run as well. And could we see the nephew of Shane Lynch make it through to the top 32? Judge's decision about to come onto your screens at home. For those of you in attendance, we will be, of course, announcing that score as it is fed through to us. A 55 and 35th position, narrowly missing out on that spot. And of course, the big screen will be in attendance for all of you guys who are here tomorrow.
Big screen. And if you're not in attendance tomorrow, then, well, you're missing out, quite frankly. So get your tickets on the gate all weekend, Eddie. You can come down, pay on the gate. Tomorrow will be our pro competition day, where we see the likes of Dwayne McKeever and Martin Richards go head-to-head for a title in the championship. We move it along to the next guy on the line, which will be Owen Atkinson. Now, scored a 0 on his first run, all to play for now. As we have a stacked 32 grid already, he needs a 60 or more to make it through. What has Owen Atkinson got as he fires that car in?
Yeah, big weight transfer entry in the little MX-5.
Atkinson doing a good job so far, though. Oh, just using the handbrake to correct a little error as he comes round into this lunar bend. Stands on the accelerator now as Atkinson gets on a good line, hops a wheel over the curb. Judge is going to be knocking him down for that. Oh, and a wobble again as Atkinson looks for the final outer clipping point and takes it over the line. Eddie, not a best of runs. Is it a 60?
As much as I love it, a little MX-5, I think they're a very difficult car to be competitive in terms of drifting. But certainly Owen Atkinson doing a good job getting it around, but is it enough, Ian? And that's the question. These guys have set the bar so high now that you've got to put in a really big run just to get into the top 32. Not even to qualify in the top 10, just to get into the top 32.
Yeah, exactly that. And talking of MX-5s, we've got one that's in the paddock that's got 1,000 horsepower. Just 1,000.
Yeah, pretty underpowered that.
Underpowered. He's going to struggle tomorrow. We wait for the score to drop in there for Owen Atkinson. Is it enough to find himself inside competition? And it isn't. It's a 53.3, so that will be the end of the weekend there for the Drift Cup driver as we move it along to Matt Fountain. Matt Fountain does find himself inside competition with a 71.3.
Yeah, no.
Someone was trying to pay me earlier to take the mickey out of this car, and I said, no, I'm not doing it. It's a nice guy.
How much were they offering?
A bag of Haribos.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And I noticed you had a bag of Haribos, so I'm trying to decide, did you take that offer? So Matt Fountain, without the worries of whether or not he's going to be in that top 32, sits in 21st position, a 71 on that first run.
Yeah, listen, he can really put it all out there now and make a bit of a show as he stands on the accelerator in the HMS Fountain.
Ooh.
Oh, you like that,
yeah, I like it. It's a boat reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get jokes.
You get it.
Yeah, because it's a big car.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
there we go.
Yeah. And look, you're a fountain of knowledge.
See, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Matt Fountain finishing up his run. Is it enough to top his first score and climb himself higher up the order? Obviously, the higher up the order you are when you come to battles later on, it will be an easier job to find yourself inside that Grade 8 or even the top 4. Fountain going to be looking to make a move.
Look at this.
Look at that.
2 identical scores.
How about that for Matt Fountain?
Yeah, scaletrics.
Consistency though, and that's dangerous as we move it along. So we will see Fountain inside competition. We move along to Lisa Branch now. 66, she does find herself inside the top 32. She will be happy with that, but you know what? A little bit more security would be to bump yourself up the order as Lisa Branch comes off the line, feeling confident. Look at this, a nice opposite flick, Eddie.
Yeah, looking to leave it all out on track is Lisa as she takes to the circuit for her second run. And as you say, in competition with Alexis Drew here this weekend, a 66 and a 77. Could we see an 88 here?
Well, this is looking good so far as Lisa Branch stands on the accelerator. Nice little upshift for Branch as she gets into it. Not as deep into that as we'd like to see, but finishes off in the middle of the track. We've not seen a lot of guys finishing off the middle of the circuit, so Lisa Branch, good commitment. Listen, not only is she competing with 32 other drivers, she's competing with her other half just for bragging rights.
Bragging rights,
at
yeah.
home.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a tough home to go to for whoever performs worse here this weekend. Could we see them going up against each other?
Wow.
Ooh, a 70.3, enough for 23rd position. And you know what? Lisa Branch stepping it up when she needed to and producing the goods on the second run of qualifying, securing her spot in the top 32 so far. Now Andy Frost, the Iceman, getting ready to leave the line. 79.1 for the motorsports engineer from Stoke-on-Trent. He's a failed motocross rider, but you know what? Right now he is proving to be a very talented drifter. Can he improve on that 79 and break into the 80s?
Yeah, right now Andy Frost is going to be looking to wow the judges and get a nice score on the board as he stands on the accelerator, a big angle as he comes into that fourth outer zone. Looking
just
good.
See how early they got to get on that throttle in, and then they just stay on it for quite a long period, but just falls apart for Andy Frost towards the end of that run. But you know what? I think he's going to be happy enough. Job done on his first run of qualifying. It won't matter. And he looks good for battles later on today.
Yeah, Andy Frost making his way back to the grid there. Yeah, just not sure what's up with the car. Hopefully it can hold itself together. Straightened up over the line, but he does get a score. It will be a 68.3 and still enough to find himself inside top 32 competition later on today. Like you say, Eddie, we move along to this guy, Harry Kerr.
Yeah, the 14-year-old student from Antrim now sits mid-pack with a 75.3 on his first run. 14 years of age with 3 years of experience under his belt. I mean, look, where would you get it? A rising star in the sport. And you know what? A driver that I think, if he could just get into his comfort zone, could challenge for a podium here this weekend. I think this track will suit his style. It will suit the car. And as he looking overly aggressive, dropping wheels through the final sections, losing that rear bumper. And Harry Kerr, another one of our drivers, making the trip over from Northern Ireland this weekend to be here in the British Drift Championship. He trying to get as much competitive experience under his belt as he can.
Yeah, very good run there from Harry Kerr.
These youngsters have no fear, Ian, you see, that's the
No,
thing. No fear whatsoever.
And do you know what, technically, I was watching that run, sitting back having a watch of it, very technically correct. You know, like I said before, no big impact, no big angle or smoke, but technically right. And look at that, 72. Stays where he is in 16th place, but mid-pack score there for Harry Kerr. And,
yeah, but showing good consistency as well. You know, 62, a 74. 75 on the first run. We move it on to a man who needs to pull it out of the bag here. Robin Neeson has looked comfortable out on the circuit, but a 60.7 on his first run, not enough to keep him inside that top 32. So it's all or nothing here for Robin Neeson. Make or break.
Yeah, make or break for Robin Neeson as he stands on the accelerator and starts to smoke up those tyres on the back of that Toyota. Neeson gets into it. Look at this. Neeson now needs to score better than a 60.7, which was his first score. Gets it on big angles. He gets to the outer zone, a big wheel hop, pops the wheel on the front curb. Not as deep into the outer zone as what we'd like to see him, but he puts a run down nevertheless. You know what? I think that's a similar score to his first run.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's enough to challenge top 32.
It'd be interesting just to see how much more than the 60.7 will be required to get himself into that top 32, but I think a nervous wait here for Robin Neeson as so 61 we're hearing is the drop zone. So is it enough, Ian? It's one of those runs where I think even if it's enough, it's going to be a nervous wait because a few drivers still to go that will be outside that top 32, and Robin Neeson just can't seem to produce his best when it comes to qualifying. A 65.3, he creeps inside the 30th position, Ian.
Listen, he's done enough for the moment, but like you say, there is a few guys that currently sit outside of that top 32, and we'll have to see how it goes on. We move it along to this guy, Jack Shield, sits on the line, the electrician from Waterford, sits with a 66 inside top 32, but we've seen better from Jack Shield in the past. Can he do better and climb up the order as he gives a big clutch kick and then pulls the handbrake for initiation? Gets in it nice and early. This is good from Shield, nice and committed as he sends it through the centre of the circuit. Big handbrake drag down into that third outer zone. Shield now gets the car set up on that lunar bend, stands on the accelerator, and you can see the underpowered car has to take a little bit of angle out of it and then dial it back out again as he drops one wheel and gets it across the line. A very fast run there from Jack Shield. Yeah, that's what it's all about from Jack Shield right now. He knew coming to the line there that he needed to keep himself focused on just getting the job done. And you know what, you can entertain the crowds later on, but you can't if you don't qualify. And Jack Shield, we've talked about him and his ability to produce it when it matters. A 66 on the first run. The second run, a 78.7. 13th position for him. Bumps himself right up the order, and he is safe, Ian. Yeah, very, very safe indeed. And a very good run. Someone to keep your eye on as we move it through competition. We go back to the line where we do see Tom Murphy, the stuntman.
The stuntman.
Is he really a stuntman?
He is a professional stuntman, a professional lunatic, and look, expect to see backwards entries here because he scored a 70 on his first run, so I know the inner workings of Tom Murphy's mind. He's thinking, to hell with qualifying, I just got to go out there and go insane. Here we go, shaping up for a big flick into that corner, and yeah, tries to dial on the angle. Oh.
And did he do a drive shaft?
Yeah, it sounds as though...
Or a gearbox, potentially, as he pulls off the circuit. So Tom Murphy doing the right thing by removing himself from circuit, getting on that grass, you know, don't want to drop oil on the circuit and prolong the recovery period. You can see him out of the car straight away. So we need to make that official. It will be a 0. There you go, a 0 for Tom Murphy's second qualifying run. And you know what? That looked like it had all of the potential to be a pretty decent score already.
Yeah, look, it was looking good from Tom Murphy, and
yeah, so we, listen, we'll take this quick moment to say thanks to the sponsors, Eddie.
Yeah, and of course, you know, a great team of sponsors coming on board. Simpson Racing Products, Zestino Tires UK, Monster Energy, Jap Speed, M-Tech Brakes, Funk Motorsport, JDM Distro, AM Details, VP Racing Fuel, Link Engine Management, Samco Sport, Brian James Trailers, and of course Cosmos Racing Wheels. And if you're in the market for some wheels this weekend, Cosmos Racing Wheels doing a 30% discount on their range of wheels. So check out the website, and of course go and talk to Mike Walton, and he might be able to sort you out with a little bit of a deal there. As I say, 30% off. That's an incredible discount.
There's no
on all their UK stock.
There's no reason for you, Eddie, to not put some pimp wheels on your BMW now. Just let that settle in for a second.
Money.
Oh, right, gotcha, yeah.
You know that financial mistake part? Yeah.
You're already falling foul to that. So we are hearing news that Tom Murphy has broken his differential, apparently, and not the first time. He did it in the final round of the IDC. The other weekend at Wargrass Hill, broke a diff. So a common occurrence.
Yeah, and you know, the unfortunate thing is, and I had a quick chat with Tom after that round, and you know, he's getting frustrated with the car, letting him down. He was, you know, you can see he's starting to just, I think, tone back some of the showmanship, or showman, what am I trying to say? The
Only you can tell me that, Eddie.
The showy style of driving, and you know, really focus on being competitive and showing his ability rather than you know, dialing on massive angle and really trying to wow the crowds. I think realizing that, you know, you're spending a lot of money here to come and be competitive, and it's no point leaving in qualifying just because you've tried to be the hero. But now, when you start to change that attitude around, and then the car starts to let you down, it becomes very upsetting, because these guys are really competitive drivers. They want to win. They want to put on a show for the crowd. And Tom Murphy is a very talented driver who can certainly take it to a podium.
Final round.
Something that he's, you know, that success is eluding him at the moment.
Exactly that, and it's not nice to face. So, listen, while we take this moment, and you guys at home will probably sit back, your feet up, take a look at your screens. The Invasion tickets on sale now for the final round of the British Drift Championship in just over a month's time. Get your tickets on sale now at shop.britishdriftchampionship.co.uk. Eddie, it's going to be a round not to be missed. They're calling it an Invasion for a reason. We're not going to go into too much of that, do we? Because we like to keep secrets to ourselves, do we?
Exactly, yeah. Look, you know, you don't want to give away all the juice just yet. But
but we will have
what I will say is, this is a round that's not to be missed.
No.
We will most likely have 2 championships being decided, the Pro-Am Championship and our Pro Championship. Martin Richards still in the hunt for that. 1, he wants to get a win under his belt. 2, he wants to take down Dwayne McKeever. And 3, he wants to take home the title of the 2018 British Drift Champion. Could we see the championship go to a UK driver back-to-back? Well, it's all to play for going into that final round. Limited grandstand tickets still available for the final round. And when I say limited, I mean they are selling fast. So grab them now. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till Tuesday. Don't wait till the day before the event. And don't come crying to us when you missed out because we told you. Get them now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's like you say, Eddie, it's going to be around not to be missed. And yeah, listen, not only is Martin Richards playing for the championship, and you know, to be the second, to keep the you know, the crown in the UK of the British Drift Championship, but he will be playing for that you know, that Drift Masters European Championship scholarship. So he will get help to go to Europe next year to compete with, you know, the Champions League of European drifting. And listen, Martin Richards been there before, he's got that European experience under his belt, but there is one man that stands in his way, and right now Dwayne McKeever is leading the UK Championship undefeated. Yeah, Martin Richards, big task in his hands, but listen, he's a cool-headed guy, and he's a guy that I think could take down McKeever at some point this year. Yeah,
certainly, I think he has it in the locker to do that. And you know, more importantly as well, look, going into that final round, not only will it be the final round of the British Drift Championship, it will be the final round of drifting in Europe in 2018, period. After that, it's going to be a big break. We may not ever see drifting in Rockingham ever again. We are calling to you guys to come out, support your local race circuits, come out and support your local motorsport championships, come out and support these drivers and show us that you have pride in British motorsport and in British competitive racing. These guys are coming out to try and take home a title. Keep that title in England this year. And I think, you know, the British public need to get behind them, show their support, because that's what it's all about. No point sitting at home watching on live stream. We put on a fantastic live stream for people in other countries around the world. We don't put it on the screens for people that are sitting in the UK, that are sitting a couple of hours away. There's no other place to be than be there in person, feel the action and the you know, the atmosphere. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, listen, and not only that, Eddie, but it will be a farewell to Rockingham Motor Speedway. Unfortunately, the closure of the circuit will be the last competitive round there for the British Championship. But with that underway, we move it back to the line. It will be Rob Johnson to take his second qualifying run.
Yeah, and I'm expecting to see him going in hot here because the 74.7 on the first run has his safe. That was his safe run in. What's he going to produce on the second run? This one looking fast. Can he hold it together? Oh, flirting with the rough, as he just manages to keep the rear wheels on circuit. Snappy little transition as he gets back onto the fast pedal.
Yeah, this
and
is
again,
a very
taking it right out to the extremities of the circuit. Really good run from Rob Johnson.
Yeah, very, very good run there for Rob Johnson. Listen, very, very stylish run. Big angle, fast transitions, and a very fast run through the circuit. Judges going to be liking that, as long as it was technically correct in my eyes. It was a very good run, you know, a higher scoring run. Judges didn't agree though. A 60.7 keeps Johnson where he is in 18th position. And we move it back to the line to someone who is outside of that top 32, and it will be Mike Lardner. Mike Lardner, 52.7, like I say, on his first qualifying run. Needs to put it all out there now.
Yeah, make a break here for Mike Lardner, as we just await for some of the smoke from Rob Johnson to clear before we of course want to make sure that these guys have a perfect view of the circuit and it's safe for everyone before they go out on track. Obviously they can create their own clouds. If they drift back into it, that's their own problem, but here we go. Mike Lardner needs to pull it out of the bag. Looking good so far. Ian gets back on the power as he comes into the tight, tricky section.
Yeah, Lardner putting down a really good run so far. This is very, very nice. Look at this. This is where he made the mistake last time. Doesn't make the same mistake again as he stands on the accelerator. Drops a little wheel there, but very fast run there from
really
Lardner.
fast. And I'm always so impressed to see drivers who maybe underperform on their first run and have it all to do on the second half of qualifying. Because I say, look, you may not see it from home, but if you're involved in motorsport, look at this, an 82.3 for Mike Lardner, jumps into 10th position. Wow, what about that? That's that is, you know, dealing with pressure and producing it when it matters. Mike Lardner is in the game.
Yeah, he certainly is. We go to the line where we do see someone that is outside of the game currently. He will be Brad Warbank, the Bentley test driver from Doncaster. He needs to better his score quite a bit if he wants to find himself inside top competition later on today. Nice initiation from Warbank. Oh, and an error there. This is not looking good for Warbank as he has to make another initiation. Fires into Luna Bend and stands on the accelerator, but this part of the circuit, Eddie, is where it's reasonably easy to get together. And
yeah, look, I'm not so sure for Bradley this time around if that's going to be enough. And as you say, look, that 61 on his first run wasn't enough to keep him inside the top 32 when it came back around to his second attempt, and he needed to produce it there. And a 54.3, you see it leaves him sitting in 34th position, and unfortunately, Ian, that is it for Bradley.
yeah, I mean, listen, not the weekend he would have wanted, but nevertheless a learning curve and something to go back and think about. Someone who's got something to think about for sure on the line right now is a slick Nick Brady. A 25.3, made a big error on his first qualifying run. This guy having no end of problems, just having a little word with our start line marshal Mounts there. Slick Nick comes off the line.
Yeah, look, always puts in 110% every time he takes to the circuit, but he's going to need to do that and more if he has hopes of qualifying. And yeah, look, problems with that carrying.
Yeah, look at that. Listen, the car just not playing ball again, and we'd really like to know. Oh, we're saying gearbox issues.
Problems, yeah. Problems with the gearbox in that R33 Skyline, and so unfortunate for Nick Brady. And
you know what, we've seen some really good moments from Nick Brady. You know, when that car and him together just work, he's a very, very good driver, and you know, we've seen some good battles of him and Danny Grundy back in the day. Look at that, 25 again on his second run, and Nick Brady out of competition. Listen, it's a long wait now to the final round. Hopefully Nick Brady can get that car back together and come back at the final round and, you know, have a good round. We move along to Tessa Whittock, the business development manager from Worcestershire.
yeah, nicely positioned with a 67.3, but I think with probably going perilously close to that drop zone will need to be bumping up the score here. Now, what can she do this time around? as Tessa gets ready to compose herself and leaves the line.
Listen, she'll be feeling confident. She has a 67.3 under her belt for her first qualifying run. Look at this, much more confident looking Tessa Whittock now. She fires through that front clipping point, gets it dialed in. This is looking tidy from Tessa Whittock now. She makes her way into Luna Bend, stands on the accelerator nice and early. Martin Richards will be in the grandstand cheering her on right now as Whittock puts in a much better run than her first run, in my opinion, Eddie.
Yeah, looking confident now, sits in 28th position, and the important thing there is inside the top 32 at the moment. However, she could start getting dropped down, and as well, sitting in 28th, you don't want to be going up against the top 4 in the top 32. A 71.7 though, 23rd position, bumps her nicely up the order. Tessa producing the goods on the second half of qualifying, looking consistent out there, and could we see Tessa compete for a podium later on this afternoon? Who knows?
Well, we will find out. We move it along, we keep it going here as we see Ryan Toporowski on the line at 66.7 on his first qualifying run. I do believe that sees him inside competition at the moment.
Yeah, just perilously close to that drop zone is Topo, and this Titan Motorsport stroked 2JZ 3.4. Incredible build, this car, and Topo just needs to get it wrong.
And he made the same mistake again. And yeah, listen, it's completely thrown him this time as...
Yeah, look, I think it's in his head, you know, the problem there, and you're at that section of the circuit where all the hard work is done. You're perilously close to the drop zone, and you're just, you know, you can see the finish line in sight, and a nervous wait now for Ryan Toporowski.
Yeah, listen, such a well-built car, like you say, Eddie, and that aggressive Hulk livery. Yeah, 29th. Going to be a nervous wait for Toporowski as we move it along to Richard McCall.
Yeah, McCourt not producing the goods on his first run in.
No, a 42.3 in his first qualifying run. He really now needs to make this work if he wants to see competition later on this afternoon. A very tentative entry for McCall. This could not be what he needs. He needs to throw it all out there, Eddie.
Yeah, it's strange to see that, you know, just so slow through that first section, and just not getting that car up to speed in any real form. And you know, I think this just doesn't look like the Richard McCourt that we're accustomed to seeing. And maybe this, you know, track layout not suiting his style, and maybe just not able to set the car up properly for the run.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, sounded like maybe a misshift maybe, or a clutch problem, because hear him hit the rev limiter and no drive. I can assume it will be a 0, maybe a very low score. No, it will be a 0 there for Richard McCall, which puts him out of competition. We move it along to the next guy, which will be Lewis Baker. Remember, he scored a 0 on his first qualifying run. Now, listen, he's had a drive in this car, kind of knows where he's at. He's back on the start line.
Spun
what
twice.
Can he do?
Spun twice, and that won't be filling him with confidence. So Lewis Baker, with all to do, a 0 on the board. He's already made it further than he did in the first attempt.
Well, what a spin again for Lewis Baker,
yeah, look,
unfortunately.
And I think it does go back to what you said about you know, this car being completely different in the way that it's set up, and in, you know, the components that are used. He's used to having Wisefab steering, and of course the borrowed car from Julie Robinson. Julie, you know, competing in the sport on a modest budget, and this car, while she's able to get it around the circuit, be difficult for somebody who's used to driving a car with you know, some of those more expensive components. So Lewis Baker, 2 0s on the board, and you don't need to be a genius to figure out that will spell the end of his weekend.
No, and we move it back to the start line, Eddie, where we do see Danny Maguire. Currently sits with a 61.7, so he is outside of competition. So he's going to need to pull it all out of the bag now. Like I say, issues with that car in practice, but it looks like he's got it back together again now. Little steering correction there around the first corner. Maguire stands on the accelerator though now, fires it in, gets back on power nice and early. This is looking much better for Maguire now. Good transition as he stands on the accelerator, looks for the outer zones.
Yeah, and finds them in. Finds those outer zones.
Steering corrections already. And just
yeah, and very slight straightens here and there as well from Danny Maguire. However, you know, I'm going to say he's going to get rewarded for you know, being on the line and collecting those clipping zones as he goes through the circuit. Will it be enough? I mean, look, we're talking about fine margins here, and a 65.7 jumps him up the order to 30th position, and I think a nervous wait here for Danny Maguire.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, I know that inside the car he probably knew he could do better himself, but you know, moment gets to you a little bit as we go to the start line where we do see Charles Funnell. He is outside of competition with a 54.7. He needs to score more than a 62.
Yeah, Charles in that mixed race E36 Touring, sporting the Toyota 1J engine transplant, producing 430 brake horsepower. And what can Charles Funnell produce on his second run of qualifying as he looks to get himself into the main show later today?
Yeah, just scrappy from Funnell so far. Doesn't look like the car's balanced, or doesn't look like he's very confident inside it.
No, and lacking that impact as well, Ian. And of course, you know, look, the judges are swayed. They're just like you and me. They want to be entertained, and they will be swayed by impact, and it does affect the score that they will be giving. And for me, I'm not sure that Charles Funnell has done enough there.
No, I don't believe so either. You know, it was good, but it's going to be a low 60 for me. And I think if it is inside top 32, it's going to be an anxious wait for him as he awaits the rest of the paddock to put in their qualifying runs.
So judges deliberating that one. The score about to appear on our screens, and a 68.7 just about gets him in 28th position. Judges seen a little bit more worth than what yourself and myself were thinking, but good to see a driver getting in now. Look at this.
Someone who is pumped up on the line, Paul Cunnington.
Well, sure, why not when you've scored an 83 in your first run?
Yeah, Paul Cunnington, a very, very good first qualifying run. He's going to be looking to go out there and maybe top qualifying as he flicks that Slide Industries Clothing S14 in. One JZ under the bonnet.
What would his superhero name be?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you.
Super Slider?
Super Slider. No.
Slide Man?
Slide Man. That would be a good one. As Paul Cunnington finds the final outer zone, a very fast run there for Cunnington. Technically very good. Not enough to top his first score, I don't believe, but told you before, I have been wrong a couple of times, once or twice.
Mistaken. So can he top that 83 from the first attempt? No, a 72.7 means he stays in 9th position, but looking confident and happy behind the wheel. We like to see our drivers doing a little bit of, you know, shaking,
relaxed,
shaking the moneymaker.
Shaking the moneymaker. Stephen McConnell needs to shake the moneymaker now. 49.7 on his first qualifying run isn't going to find him inside competition. Can the financial mistake get him into a position where he can prove his worth inside top 32? He stands on the accelerator. This looks a lot tidier from McConnell.
Just doesn't seem to have the power to keep this car on big angle, and I think that's what's going to hurt his score, Ian. He seems very shallow throughout the circuit. You can just see again, trying to keep that car fluid throughout the course.
Yeah, it's
but
here.
Again,
look
straight
at this.
line,
Yeah.
look, a massive straight line there. He's practically driven straight through the last two clips.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like we said earlier, it's that portion of the circuit which demands the most power and grip, and unfortunately there for Stephen McConnell, he doesn't have that inside his car, so he is going to struggle massively. He's going to be heavily penalised for that driving, though, for that, like you say, Eddie, for the final two clips. And a 60.3 means that Stephen McConnell, unfortunately, won't find himself inside the top 32 or see competition later on as we go to the line where we see Josh King. Now, this guy, like I said, surprised me massively in practice. An 87 on his first qualifying run. Nothing to worry about. Sits in third position.
Yeah, I mean, why not have a thumbs up kind of attitude when you're sitting on an 87? Feeling relaxed, and you know you're already in the game.
Well, listen, you've out-qualified Lee Scott at the moment, so why wouldn't you feel happy as he fires that car into Luna Bend?
And not only has he out-qualified Lee Scott, he's out-qualified the top 3 people in the championship. Only Ryan Caldwell has managed to outdo him in terms of the top 4. So a really good show here from Josh King. Now, a little bit of a dirt drop on that run, but other than that, it looked to be nice and wide and quite a tidy drive. He looks very confident on this circuit, and
yeah, look at that, a 76 on his second. Not as good as his first, stays where he is in third position for the moment. We see Martin Cowley now sit on the line. Another little confident wave to the camera. These guys feeling confident.
Exactly, and why not? Martin Cowley with a 74. Just overhearing the judges talking in the background here, and they're saying about the runs, yeah, it's good, but is it a chaseable run?
Yeah.
And that's going to be really important to how they score the runs. We want to see really chaseable runs. And this, right now, looking like a very chaseable run here being laid down by Martin Cowley.
Yeah, if Cowley can hold this together, this is a very impressive run for impact. Cowley is putting it all out on the line, not as deep into the out zone as we'd like to see. Can he get nice and deep into the last out zone? He can. As he comes across the line, Martin Cowley doing a very good job.
I think if you compare where we started the 2018 Pro-Am season to where it is now, I think the standard has just jumped immensely. I think if you look at the scores that are being produced, the score you need in order just to qualify, an 80.7 is only 13th position in Pro-Am. I mean, this is crazy, crazy stuff in BDC.
Yeah, listen, for me, I think it's the introduction of people like Lee Scott and Ryan Caldwell. When those guys come over and absolutely blitz qualifying, and you know it's very, very hard to catch them, makes you step your game up. And these guys have been stepping their game up. James Ireland needs to step his game up. He sits with a 41.7 on his first qualifying run. He's set off the line by Melks, and apparently Eddie's mad for it.
Yeah, well, he needs to get mad at it here because it's produce or go home for James Ireland. And right now it looks as though he is producing the goods. Can he keep this going as he just needs to negotiate this tricky little midsection of the circuit and then get back on the power as he slides it nice and wide out to that outer section. And every time this guy goes out on circuit, I hear female screams all around the circuit, and I want to know what it is that he has and what I need to do to get, you know, a fan base like that. Groupies wanted over here, and James Ireland just, you know, hook a brother up.
Hook a brother up.
Yeah.
It's fair enough comment, Eddie. It's fair enough.
Hopefully, if my other half is listening or watching at home.
It was a joke.
Yeah.
Didn't mean it really, did you?
Just messing on.
A
So 71.3 for James Ireland.
Yeah, James Ireland jumps into 25th position with a 71.3. And more cheers, Eddie.
Yeah.
More cheers.
Yeah. That's what I want.
A 48.3 for Stu Egdal on his first qualifying run. Looked confident, just needed to put a little bit more at it. Can Stu Egdal throw everything and the kitchen sink at this run to get himself inside competition? Well, he's going to need to, Eddie.
Yeah, Scooby Stu needs to produce. Scooby Stu, where are you? Because we've got some work for you right now. And your job is to get yourself into the top 32 here at the British Drift Championship round of 4. The Three Sisters circuit here in Wigan. And Stuart Egdal producing the goods in.
Yeah, not a bad run. You know, technically correct, just lacked a little bit of impact. And for me, I just don't think that Stu has enough time to get out and get some practice. I think if he was in that car every other weekend, he'd be a very, very good driver. And I think that car would, him and that car would gel a lot better than what they do now. I think the only time he gets to drive it is in competition.
You've got to remember, these guys are, you know, heroes for literally the weekend. But a 74 on the board means he jumps into 21st position, so right into the mix. But look, these guys have full-time jobs. They've got families at home that they need to look after. And, you know, this is just a little bit of fun for them at the weekends. But they obviously are very competitive now. Ryan Cooper gets set to leave the line. He sits on a 68.3. And I'm not sure, is that enough to be inside the top 32?
Yeah, I think you'll find Ryan Cooper's just inside. Yeah, competition at the moment. What can he do? The Icaris, Artec Welding, Excite Energy, Excess Wraps, Bruno Auto Tuning Driver do.
Yeah, doing a nice job now, keeping this car on the wide line. And
yeah, look at that Cooper right in 31st position. Needs to better the order and does a much better job on that qualifying run.
Yeah, you can see a steady smoke cloud all the way around the circuit, meaning he was full throttle and foot to the floor from the moment he left clip 4 all the way around to the finish.
Yeah, so expecting a much better score there for Ryan Cooper. Unless the judges see something we didn't see, Eddie.
Well, look, I mean, you say a much better score, but a 68 is still a very reputable score, but a 72 now on the board for Ryan Cooper, meaning he positions himself in 24th spot. Next to leave the line will be Paul Beachy. Paul Beachy with a 65.7 on the first run, which, Ian, is not enough for top 32. Beachy's got to produce it here.
Yeah, Beachy needs to pull it all out of the bag now as he fires that car in. Mazworks SR22 under the bonnet, 535 horsepower. Big handbrake drag for Beachy though as he comes in to that third outer clipping point. Nice transition back into Luna Bend, gets back on the accelerator nice and early. And a big clutch kick, fails to find outer zone 5. Just about tags the edge of 6 and a big wobble as he comes across the finish line. I don't know if it's enough, Eddie.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is what it's all about. You know, if you haven't pushed yourself to the limits in practice in the morning and you come out and you put in, you know, a score in the mid to high 60s, and then all of a sudden the rest of the grid just produces magic and you're facing, like, staring down the barrel of a gun and you got to put in a 70, it can be really difficult. And you just see, you know, consistency from Paul Beachy, but it's not enough. 33rd position, and that is the end of the weekend for him.
Yeah, Paul Beachy out of competition, and Lee Lawrence now sits on the line looking nervous. He has a long, nervous wait for him as he needs to work out, can he jump up the order? 50.7 on his first qualifying run. And Lee Lawrence's car, just doesn't sound like it's got the power. He's going to really work in the clutch and accelerator as he transitions onto that front clip. A nice line back now as Lee Lawrence, you can hear him working the clutch to keep this car sideways.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem as if there's, you know, enough power in this vehicle just to really be competitive around the circuit. Gotta say though, nice line, a little bit straight as he goes across the finish line. I'm not sure if that will hurt the score too much, but I'd say it's just so hard to create that impact when you only have 355 brake horsepower at your disposal.
Yeah, so Lee Lawrence finishes up his run.
And of course, if you're here in attendance or watching at home online, make sure and check out the brand new range of Drift Games merchandise that we have here for sale.
Save some for me.
Save some for me and Ian, yeah. I mean, some really cool hoodies. And whoa, look at this. A score produced, 65.7. Not enough. 35th position. That is just how close it is at the you know, the end of the top 32 section now. Stephen Fitzgerald sits on the line with a 52.3. He's made the trip all the way from Mallow in County Cork. What a shame it would be for him to bow out of competition at this point. Fully built RB25 underneath the bonnet from West Coast Performance back in Ireland. Can Fitzgerald produce it?
Well, he's doing a good job so far, Ed, as he fires it through into that rear clipping point. Looking good, sets the car up nicely now, gets back on the accelerator. Doesn't get all the way out to that outer zone 5, but does for 6. Finishes off the run, but I don't know. I think the line was just ever so slightly off, and I think he managed to, you know, get there by, or make it back online by just using the brute power that car's got.
So, look at this. Wow, judges seeing something that we didn't, Ian. An 81.3, of course, did look to be a very good run, but I wasn't expecting to see a score jump into the 80s. Huge run from Stephen Fitzgerald.
I'm never wrong. Something's wrong. Something's wrong with the scoring. It's got to be. Moving along, Dominic Gates, he sits with an 85 in his first qualifying run. Getting a bit of luck now as he comes to the end of the season.
Yeah, massive first run here from Diamond Tom as he takes to the circuit for the second run and looking to finish out his qualifying here at round 4.
Yeah, this looking very nice. Look at this, Eddie. Big angles. He comes through into that rear clipping point. Good transition back and smoke all the way up to the wing mirror as Diamond Dom stays in it, throws big angle at it, but holds it as he gets into the outer zone and takes over the line. I didn't think he was going to be able to hold that on big angle, but he surprised us all there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a man that's looking really comfortable, and I'm going to keep a close eye on him, you know, for the rest of the competition. There's going to be a few drivers in our top 10 that you do not want to be coming up against in top 32. I think this is going to be, I think we're going to see some really good driving, 1 or 2 surprises, and 82 stays in 4th position, but 2 scores in the 80s means Dominic Gates is on form today.
Yeah, very much on form, Dominic Gates. Willie Hanna.
Yeah, another man producing the goods here at the Three Sisters Arena. William Hanna, a 71 on his first run in the Tarmac Sports R33 Skyline.
Yeah, Hanna Hanna now makes his way through that front clip, transitions back, stays on the accelerator. No use of the handbrake to slow that car down. Doing a very nice job. Transitions into Luna Bend, stays on the accelerator, does drop a wheel over, it's going to upset his line.
Yeah, you can just see how bad it is. Just beyond that curve, it just completely unsettled the rear end and spoiled his run, unfortunately. William Hanna's going to have to settle for the 71 on the first attempt.
So we make it official there, a 0 for William Hanna on his second qualifying run of the day. And up next, Neil Bamford. Dirt nasty low, as Eddie calls it.
Yeah, he's even rocking that graphic on the windscreen now, and it is dirt nasty low.
I might get that sticker made now you've said it.
Yeah.
Neil Bamford, Air Tech, representing right now as he fires through outer zone 3. Good transition back, almost looked like he was going to overtake. Very good car control there from Bamford, gets in accelerator. This is a much tidier run than his first qualifying run of the day. Nice and deep into the outer zone and over the finish line for Bamford.
I don't think you could rock the dirt nasty low sticker.
Why?
I think there's a better version of it for you.
I get my own one from Eddie Powell.
Dirt nasty slow.
Wow, car's not slow.
Oh, we'll find out.
Drift Games Bash is on.
That's it. And of course, that's to look forward to. The bank holiday weekend in October. That's the Irish bank holiday weekend. I'm not sure, do you guys have a similar bank holiday?
We're not going to have an Irish bank holiday in the UK, Eddie.
No.
Unfortunately not. A 67.3 for Bamford on his second qualifying run is not enough to get inside competition. And he will bow out. Unfortunately, sorry, Eddie, I shot you down massively there.
My question was, do you celebrate Halloween and you know, get a day off for it? But anyway,
no. We'll
move on to Philip Hayden, who sits on the line. And Philip Hayden scored a 61 on his first run. And you know what, Ian? You can put in the safe runs all you want, but when the rest of the grid are putting in 70s, you come out in your second run, you know you have it all to do. Philip Hayden's got to produce right now, looking good so far. As big dirt drop there, almost unsettles that little compact BMW, but Hayden keeps the shoe in, gets straight back on the power, and takes it nice and wide once again. No problems with that curb for Philip Hayden, and across the line. Ooh, is it enough? I mean, look, it's a good run, but there's some errors there.
Yeah, listen, for me, the initiation was the one. He fired the car on a faint entry and used a foot brake to slow it down. Very, very talented young driver. And you know what? I think if you gave him another 150, 200 horsepower, it'd be dangerous in that grid. But, like you say, he's got a 61.7 at the moment. Can he jump up? And he certainly can. A 72 puts him in 26th position. Philip Hayden jumps up the order and finds himself inside competition. We move it along, Eddie, and we are getting through and we're almost over with our Pro-Am drivers for qualifying. Ross Barr now sits on the line, a 49.3. If you remember rightly, came out with no regard to anything, especially his clutch pedal. And gave that car absolute death. Now, can he rein it in just 5%?
Yeah, absolutely no mechanical sympathy for Ross Barr. And that's it. It's all about just toning back that aggression. We want to see controlled aggression. And you can just see clutch kick after clutch kick hammers the throttle off the limiter. And Ross Barr getting around the circuit, but just missing some of those vital areas on the course. You can tell he's having fun, though.
He's having fun for sure. I just have to close my eyes when I hear him rocking that rev limiter all the way around. So Ross Barr dropped a couple of clipping points, dropped out of zone 3 and out of zone 5. How badly are the judges going to penalise him? Very, very heavy. Look at that, a 42 on his second run. You know, that the missing of the clipping points is not what they're looking for. They're looking for a line driver. Eddie, we move it along. Someone who was very good on the line was this guy, Nerigis, an 81.7 on his first qualifying run. The powerful force driver from Stratford. Rocking a 2JZ 500 horsepower. Look at this smoke before even he gets across the initiation point, and smoke up to the wing mirror for Nerigis as he stands on the accelerator. Very good transition, gets into the outer zone. Nice. Look at the angle.
Yeah, crazy angle. But if you tell me that anybody has a mentor like Armas Vasquez, immediately I'm going to say, okay, they're going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome. Yeah, look at this. Nerigis is absolutely killing it. Nice and deep into all the zones. Big angle, big smoke as he finishes up a run. Impact
Yes,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you
speed,
know, check. Style,
angle, check. Smoke,
line,
check. Line,
don't worry about the line. How did the judges see that one? As the score drops in for Nerigis, an 80 on his second qualifying run, stays where he is in 11th position after his first run, gave him an 81.7. Consistent runs, a dangerous guy to see later on in competition. Oliver Bolton, Funk Motorsport driver from Essex, scored a 74.7, so he does find himself inside competition, but he's going to want to make that run up the order easier, Eddie.
Yeah, we are Funk Motorsport. And be careful how you say it, because it can sound like something completely different. Here we go. What can he do? Oh, just had to back out of it there.
Yeah, it looked like he went for an upshift and just
yeah.
mistimed it, couldn't get into it. Somebody sponsored this guy a sequential gearbox. And as Oliver Bolton stands on the accelerator, smokes out Three Sisters in Wigan, just drops a little bit of dirt and has to back out of it. I don't know if that's going to be an improvement on his first run. You know,
no, I think, look,
some errors.
Yeah, look, he's going to be very heavily penalised for that straighten when it looked like he misshifted. And, you know, I think this one's going to be the way down the order. Yeah, 49.3 for Oliver Bolton. He stays where he is, 22nd position. And we will be looking forward to seeing him come back out in action in that Funk Motorsport 180SX.
Yeah, the part-time rock star sits on the line. Carl Farrar currently awaits his second qualifying run at 77.7.
I still haven't found out what Dango would do, but, you know, 2 rounds left.
Don't know if I want to know. Carl Farrar fires it in and gets on it nice and early. SR20 powered Mazda RX-8 360 horsepower. As Farrar stands on it, this is looking a lot tidier. His first qualifying run, not the best.
Still manages 77,
yeah,
mind you.
Still finds himself inside top 32, but this is a lot nicer run from Farrar. Gets nice and deep into that final outer zone.
Yeah, certainly seemed you know, a damn sight more controlled.
Yeah, it just looked a little bit wild on the first qualifying run. I think the judges rewarded him just for, you know, the recklessness maybe of Hill.
So your prediction is that this will score in the 80s?
I'm not saying anything.
You're not. You've said that so many times today and then said things. A 74, no improvement.
That's why I didn't say anything, Eddie.
Yeah.
So a 17th place position for Carl Farrar. We move it to the line. A guy who stood on the podium at the final round.
Yeah, we're into our top 10 in the championship. Andy Earl, surveyor from Dublin, as you say, a podium finish at the last round, looking to replicate that this weekend. And could we see, you know, 2 strong round performances from Andrew Earl here and in the final round and jump himself up the order? I wouldn't bet against it. He's looking really confident. He's got that score on the board from his first run.
Yeah, an 84.3 in his first qualifying run, and you know what? Equally as good a run on his second. As Andrew Earl oozes confidence at the moment.
Oozes it.
Oozes
It's
it.
just seeping out of him. That's why he has the door open of the car, just to let some of that confidence out. He's like, you know what, guys? I'm too confident. You take some of my confidence, then we'll all be great together. But he's not able to improve on that first score of 84, but the 84 getting him in the game. Top 6 qualifying position. The strong performances keep coming for Andy Earl. Now, we move along to the next driver on the line, currently sitting in first position in qualifying, and 94 for the Drift Games driver on his first run. What can the man from Cork do on the second half of qualifying? Tomas Falvey, always smiling, always loving life, and why not when you got one of the coolest S15s in the world?
Yeah, look at this from Flavor Flav Falvey as he stands on the accelerator and looks for the outer zone 4. Very nice transition, nice and deep into that lunar bend. He looks for outer zone 5. Absolutely perfect run so far from Flavor Falvey as he takes it over the line. What a second run from Falvey.
Podium today.
Whoa, Eddie Powers called it.
I'm calling it podium today.
Where on the podium?
Second.
Whoa, okay, fair enough. I don't even think Lee Scott's got that kind of run in him.
Do you know
How
what?
about that? I said that.
Yeah. And do you know what? I'm just scared to say first. That's...
Wow, look at that, a 90.3 on Thomas Falvey's second qualifying run.
Okay, I'm going to say it. Tomas Falvey's going to win the round.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen.
And the championship.
A prediction from Eddie Power as we go to the start line. We see Matt Walker the injection moulding engineer from Shropshire, an 83.3 on his first run.
Watch this guy's line, incredible. An 83, as you say, Ian, and you know what? Not a whole lot of go in this car. 300 brake horsepower underneath the bonnet, but he is so technically correct. And there's a lot of drivers in this British Championship who are becoming really strong line drivers, and that is very, very important when it comes to moving up the ranks into that pro class.
Yeah, very, very good run so far from Matt Walker. Like you say, a very good technical line driver as Walker finishes off a very nice run. Yeah, Walker not got the impact, like you say, with the big angle and the big smoke. You know, listen, still makes good smoke and still drives on a fairly decent angle. A 77.3 in his second run, not as good as his first. Stays where he is in 8th position. That guy's someone to watch. You know, we've seen him take down some very good drivers in top 32 battles. Ricky Lawrence sits on the line. Ricky Lawrence is going to be looking to improve on his 84.
Yeah, look, he's right in the hunt as well. You know, sits in
8th position, I believe. 7th position in the championship at the moment. As Ricky Lawrence transitions into that front clip, fires it.
Yeah, 7th position in the championship, fresh off a top step podium at round 3 in Driftland. He is coming here, and again another driver on a high at the moment, and he feels as though, you know what, some of these drivers that are ahead of him in the championship got a little bit of worry about it because he is coming for them. Could we see back-to-back podiums for him? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows, as Ricky Lawrence finishes up a very good run. Is it enough to jump up the order? Certainly is. Look at that, a 90 for Ricky Lawrence as he puts himself into 2nd position.
We got ourselves a competition here, Ian, I think, today. A lot of drivers scoring.
Hope so, Eddie. There's 56 drivers at a go-kart circuit in Wigan.
Yeah, well, could have been a practice day.
We move it along. There's a top 6 drivers. Lewis Mitchell first up, a 76.3. He's inside competition, but you know what? He needs to make life easy for himself here.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's all about championship position here. You don't want to be going up against you know, your closest rivals early in the battles. And Lewis Mitchell looking to produce, representing 1552, JL O'Rourke and Sons, Mitchell Motorsport and Bulldog Services, and as you say, a stock car racing background. Can he use all of that knowledge and experience and produce it here to pull it out of the bag? A 76 in the first run. Will that score jump up the order after that second run?
So we await for Lewis Mitchell's score to drop onto our screen. An 80 for Lewis Mitchell drops him into 15th position. Mid-pack score for Lewis Mitchell. We move it along to Alexis Drew. A 77.7 on his first run. So Drew comes off the line in that big R34 4-door 2 JZ powered 666 horsepower. And a lot of these guys now getting the hang of this circuit and knowing that you can get on the power nice and early on that first turn and really impress the judges as he transitions into that 4th outer zone. Gets on the accelerator, a big upshift for Drew. Oh, but he dialed on too much angle looking for that outer zone 5 and had to get back out of it, Eddie.
Yeah, really just kind of was looking good, but those errors crept in, and I don't think he'll improve. But just going back to what you're saying about the standard of driving improving, it never ceases to amaze me how quickly these guys can make the adjustments that they need. You know, they learn so quickly, and between the difference of one run to a second run is crazy. A 69.3, he stays in 19th position, and that's 77 on the first run, enough to keep him in the game. Now, Ryan Caldwell sits on the line, scored an 87.7 on his first run. He wants to make a statement here going into the battles later on.
Yeah, currently sitting 3rd so far in qualifying. He's going to want to bump himself up the order.
Look, I think he needs to break into the 80s here just to show a statement of intent, and a puff of black smoke coming out as he leaves the line. And hopefully no turbo issues.
Oh, look at this. Caldwell gets in it nice and early. Nice front transition now. Stands on the accelerator. Little dab of the handbrake to set the car up. Looks nice and deep into that outside zone 4. Look at this from Caldwell. Gets on the accelerator. Nice, perfect line through 5. And a very tidy line into outer zone 6 over the finish line. Very, very good run there for Ryan Caldwell. An 87.7, Eddie. Do you think it could Is it going to be enough?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure.
I don't want to say.
Well, we're going to find out. An 83.7 for his second qualifying run isn't enough to top qualifying, but stays where he is in third place so far. He is inside that top 5 of qualifiers.
Positioned very well going into the battles now. Hayden Cruikshank, third in the championship, and sits on a 74.3, down the order quite a bit due to the high scoring that we've seen so far this round. What can he do as he looks to keep a tight hold of his third position in the championship, and of course look to jump up the order? Can he keep the championship hunt alive?
Yeah, Cruikshank very, very settled this time, stands on the accelerator and looks very dialed. Technically a very, very nice line, just lacks a little bit of impact that we've seen from some of our other drivers as he finishes off his second qualifying run. I think the dangerous thing about Cruikshank is the consistency. He's a very good, consistent driver, and you get him in the top 32 battle, that's where you make the mistake and you knock yourself out.
Yeah, and it's something we see in a lot of other competitions that we go to, Ian, as well, is that some drivers who, you know, compete for championships, but they don't perform. A 78 on the board there, 18th position, 2 steady runs there from Hayden Cruikshank. But yeah, they don't perform in qualifying, but when they come out in battles, it's another story altogether. Now, Alistair Sutton, he is outside the top 32. He sits in second in the championship. The championship could rely on him qualifying here this weekend. This is huge for the 2018 championship. Hey, Alistair Sutton leaves the line. He's got it all to do. What can he do here? Looking good so far. Nice line through the first few clipping zones. Now gets back on the power, and it's all throttle from this point out. Alistair Sutton needs to make a statement. Takes it nice and wide. Hits that accelerator pedal and takes it across the line in, and that is why he's in the hunt for a championship.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was all to play for there for Alistair Sutton. Like you say, outside of top 32, the championship all come down to that run. And did Sutton do enough to find himself inside top composition? Listen, we're due rain this afternoon. If it rains, Sutton's game is on. If it stays dry, it doesn't look strong. But all he needs to do is qualify inside top 32 and make some sort of a movement. Has he done enough, Eddie?
Could we see him go up against some of his closest rivals? Oh, mid-pack, 79.7. You know what? I think he's going to be positioned okay there. Important for Alistair Sutton. He's got himself in the game.
Yeah, he certainly has. And we go to the line for the final qualifying run of the day. It will be your championship leader, your current IDC Pro-Am champion, Lee Scott, comes off the line with an 85 in his first qualifying run. What can he do? Smokes some of the tyres already off the back end of that RB25 powered E46 BMW. Gets into it nice and early to Scott. Good front transition now. Gets into the outside. Drops the wheel though. He did down his first run and dropped points. Scott looking for that fourth outer zone now. Stands on the accelerator. Starts to smoke out the Luna Bend as he puts in a nice run into clipping point 5. Lee Scott matching the dots and put it across the line as Lee Scott finishes up his second qualifying run. I'm going to say it now, Eddie, that's not enough to top qualifying.
No,
but
and you know what, I'm going to agree with you there, but you know what, as you say, exactly, Lee Scott in the fight. That car, not going to say anything.
Not going to say anything. Let's wait for the score to drop in for Lee Scott. Where does he find himself after his second qualifying run of the day? And an 87 puts him into 4th place after his second qualifying run, Eddie, and that is it. Qualifying is done here at round 4 of the British Drift Championship 2018. A lot of drivers out, a lot of drivers in. Championships still well alive.
Championship still exactly well alive going into the final round, and you know we're going to take a break from the action. A perfect time, if you haven't done so already, to get online, get your tickets for round 5. Limited grandstand tickets still available, but they are selling out fast. It is going to be the final drift event of the year. What an intense qualifying session we've seen, though. I mean, look, we're talking about at half of our grid qualifying or scoring in the 80s. It has just been intense, and I think we're going to see some crazy battles.
Yeah, I mean, listen, for me, like you say, a lot of guys scoring in the 80s, which means we're going to see some very close battles. If the scores are very close, you know, it's going to be a good afternoon. We have a look at our qualifying standings. In first place will be Tomas Falvey. Second, Ricky Lawrence. Third, Ryan Caldwell. Fourth, Lee Scott. Fifth, Josh King. Sixth, Dominic Gates. 7, Andrew Earl. 8, Matthew Walker. 9th, Paul Cunnington. 10th, Mike Lardner. In 11th place is Nerigis, 12th for Gareth Rogers, 13th Stephen Fitzgerald, 14th Martin Cowley, 15th Lewis Mitchell, 16th Alistair Sutton keeping it alive, 17th for Andy Frost, the 2018 Drift Cup champion, drops in, 18th Jack Shield, 19th Hayden Crickshank, 20th Cole Farrar, 21st Alexis Drew, 22nd Harry Kerr, 23rd Rob Johnson, 24th Oliver Bolton, 25th Stuart Egdahl, 26th Ryan Cooper, 27th Philip Hayden, 28th Tessa Whittock, 29th Matt Fountain, 30th is James Ireland, 31st is Willie Hanna, and 32nd place is Lisa Branch. Eddie, that is it. Qualifying here for your Pro-Am Championship is done and dusted. Eddie, it's looking good. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it looks me too. And just while you were calling out the names, looking at some of those battles, and for Alistair Sutton is going to be coming up against Frost in the top 32. That is going to be a really, really interesting battle. We've got some pro practice going on in the background. If you're here in attendance, check out the merchandise tent. If you're at home, check it out online. Guys, we will be back to you shortly for the top 32.
Engine Management are global leaders in motorsport engine technology. Developed and manufactured in New Zealand, Link has been supplying